Hi guys, welcome back to Crypto Chester. My name is Chester and I'll be walking you through the crypto markets today. First things first, I want to talk about the short term of Bitcoin, then the mid term of Bitcoin, and then the long term of Bitcoin. And I want to have a little discussion about this insane crash that we saw yesterday, right? We saw a $30,000 Bitcoin, which in my opinion is just unheard of and completely unpredictable, right? Let's start off with the short term on Bitcoin. As you can see here, we are in this falling price channel until we saw the insane sell-off that happened yesterday, right? At this point in time, we have come up, we've recovered, we've done a recovery, which is just, I didn't think we were going to recover this quick, but we've recovered near enough, 35%. At this point in time, 32%, but we did actually get to that 35% mark, testing that 55 moving average at the top there. And this is on the hourly chart, and that's the green line that we've got going on here. We have reclaimed this falling price channel, right? We have reclaimed this falling price channel, and at this point in time, if we can actually break the resistance off this 55, as you can see, we do have quite a bit of resistance on this 55 here. Let me move that over. On this, this is this green moving average that we've got here, right? As you can see, we do have quite a lot of resistance to the downside, right? To the downside on this 55. If we can break the resistance on that, I can see us basically coming up and testing the top side of this channel. If we can test the top side of this channel, also, we'll be testing this level of resistance here at 42.6. Obviously, these two are pretty much in line, so that obviously means more resistance to the downside. So I can basically see a bit of a pullback happening on the short term for Bitcoin here if we are to break the 55. If we are to break the 55 and do get a pullback from around this 42 area, we are potentially going to come down and test the 55 and hopefully find some support on it from there, right? In terms of if we just have insane buying power, right? Which I don't think we're gonna, but we are seeing it quite a lot at the moment. Since last night, since the day started, right? We have seen quite a lot of buying power for Bitcoin. If we are to see an insane amount of buying power and we are to break this level of resistance here, the measure move that we'd be looking to get in from there would look something along the lines of this, right? Obviously, depending on where we're going to be breaking along this trend line and where where we're going to be breaking along this trend line. In terms of a percentage, right? In terms of a percentage for this trade that could be happening today, potentially, but obviously you do have to think that is going to be a $45,000 Bitcoin, which is just, it's insane. But obviously yesterday, we never thought we would see a $30,000 Bitcoin. So we could have some insane buying power because in my opinion, at this point in time, Bitcoin is cheap. Just checking the audio is working because I did a stream yesterday and I was streaming for 20 minutes with no audio. Well done me. Obviously, it's my 6th stream, so I am trying to improve, and that was probably the biggest mistake I could have ever made, right? But yeah, back to Bitcoin. If we were going to break this price, this falling price channel that we've got here, we would actually be in line with coming to test this 200 moving average here, right? This 200 moving average here, and as you can see, we do find resistance, right? If we find resistance off it, we do see some dumps. If we find support on it, we see a nice uptrend. Basically, this is obviously the short term, a nice uptrend. So if we can find support on it, I can basically see us testing the next level of resistance, and that's sat at 47, right? I don't think we're going to get there today. I don't think we're even going to break this price channel today, right? But it's definitely things to think about because obviously Bitcoin is insanely unpredictable, right? Bitcoin is insanely unpredictable. We do have this volume weighted ATR band coming down on the short term here, and that's that green line there, right? We do have this volume weighted ATR band, and usually we find support on it, right? As you can see here, we'd usually find support on it. If we're not finding support on it, we're going to be trending below it for a bit, right? And that's a potential short position there. But at this point in time, at the live price action, we have actually broke it. We consolidated around it for a bit here. We have broke it. We found support here, and we've basically pumped up from there, right? We've pumped up from there, and we are testing the 55. The most unlikely scenario to happen now, we have a nice sell-off from the 55, and we start breaking the 21 moving average, the 10 simple moving average, and then we start testing this bottom side of this channel. If we break that, I can definitely see us finding support on this volume-weighted ATR band here. So that's definitely something to consider if you're getting in any positions here in terms of swing trades or scalps, right? Now, let's look at the RSI let's look at the RSI on the short term, right? As you can see, we had this dominant trend line. We had this dominant trend line coming back from the 12th of May here, right? This dominant trend line, and we were seeing some healthy rejections from it, which is fine, right? This is healthy rejections that we had going from it. But right now, we have broken that trend line to the upside in terms of buying power, right? We've broken that trend line in terms of buying power to the upside. So that could indicate a new sort of trend cycle on the RSI that we've got going here. So if we get rid of this cycle completely, right? Let's get rid of that cycle completely. We're looking at potentially setting a new high point that we're going to be going off from there on the RSI, right? In terms of setting a new trend line. So it's definitely something to think about, because at this point in time, there's no resistance stopping the buying power that we've got on the RSI now, right? And that could indicate a break on the 55 moving average that we've got here, right? That we were currently just testing, and we have found some resistance on that. But that could indicate a break on the 55, and that could basically indicate us coming to the top side of this channel that we've got here on the short term for Bitcoin. So that is another thing to definitely think about in terms of a sign of what the price is going to do. And also, we do have a lot of information here for the MACD. We're setting a nice higher high on the MACD here, and we've basically got rid of this other trend cycle that we've got going on here. And we just have actually broke this horizontal line of support on the MACD here, right? So that indicates, right? That indicates that we're setting a new sort of trend cycle, right? That indicates we're setting a new sort of trend cycle. We are still in this bullish uptrend, right? We're still in this bullish uptrend on the short term for the MACD, right? Or for Bitcoin. So we could see this surge even higher. If we see this surge even higher, we're going to be setting a higher target for the next cycle of uptrends on the MACD here. And that could literally mean that we're going to come up, test this horizontal line at 42, and potentially see a break, right? Potentially see a break. And the reason that I'm saying that we're going to potentially see a break is because if you look to the downtrends on the MACD here, we don't have a lot of momentum, right? We don't have a lot of momentum before we're going to find some sort of support on this bottom line here, right, to the downside, right? Before we see some sort of rejection, before we see another bullish crossover and a flip. And if we can get this higher, if we can get this uptrend higher, we're going to be looking at some insane gains here, right? Some insane gains in terms of the price of Bitcoin, right? So that is a fundamental to think about in terms of the MACD, and in my opinion, it is looking very good in terms of Bitcoin climbing in price right now. Few fundamentals saying that we're going to break this 55, so that's definitely something to think about on the short term, right? We're going to switch straight to the midterm, right? We're going to switch straight to the midterm. First things first, what you're going to be seeing here is this broadening wedge, right? You're going to see this big broadening wedge that we've got going on here. I hate broadening wedges. I hate them, but at this point in time, we do obviously have this dominant trend line coming down here, right? We are testing that trend line. We are currently finding a bit of resistance on that trend line, and we're struggling to break it. If we can break it, we're going to be seeing, as you can see, we did test it here. We did test it and get to 40,700, was that? Yeah, 40,700 for Bitcoin. If we can come up, test it again. Obviously, this is the midterm, so we are at the start of this new candle, right? I think we're literally like 9 minutes in, right? So we could easily see come up, break, and then come up and test this volume weighted ATR band that we've got coming down. That's this green one here, and obviously, as I always say, we either find a lot of support on it, as you can see here, or we get some swift resistance, right? And as you can see, that was some insane resistance there. So we could potentially see a rejection from that. Like we could see a rejection from that, and then come down and test this trend line again. But with the buying power on the short term, I'm hoping that we can get the momentum to the upside, break this 21 moving average, which is the yellow one that we've got coming down here, break the volume weighted ATR band. And let me just shoot back in time a bit, right? Let me just shoot back in time a bit and explain this volume weighted ATR band, because as you can see, we primarily find support on it unless we've got some insane selling power, right? Unless we've got some insane selling power, which was yesterday, and that was that $30,000 Bitcoin, right? That's just insane, right? Let me just shoot back in time a bit more and see if I can find some more points where we found some nice support on it, right? Yeah, just here, right? We always, if we break it, right? If we break it, we are going to find some resistance from it, but then we reclaim it, and then it's just go time from there, and then we go to the top side of the volume weighted ATR band. So if we go back, and then if we break it to the top side on this, so the volume weighted ATR band on the top side is this red thin line here, right? I should have explained that, but obviously if we do break that to the top side here, we do trend along it. And that is a potential good long position to think about there. That's the wrong tool again. That's a potential good long position to think about there. Right now, if we can break this volume weighted ATR band to the upside, the next highest target that we're looking at for Bitcoin on the midterm is 62, right? It could take a long time to get there, right? It could take a long time to get there, but we do have this broadening wedge. And as I said, I do hate broadening wedges, but if we can get to the top side of this broadening wedge, then I now love broadening wedges, right? I now love broadening wedges, because that means literally a $55,000 Bitcoin, right? And that's what we need to see right now. The price is currently like 39,000. And as I said yesterday, we saw $30,000, and that was just, in my opinion, pretty tragic for Bitcoin, right? We need that momentum to the upside to reclaim this bull market barrier on the long term, right? Just gonna have a drink of water. Let me know in the comments, guys, what do you think Bitcoin's going to do right now? What do you think it's going to do? At this point in time, we are finding resistance off this major trend line here. But yeah, as I said, as I was just saying there, if we can get to the top side of this broadening wedge, we are going to see a $55,000 Bitcoin. Obviously, it's not going to be imminent. We're not going to see some insane growth, insane momentum to the upside in a matter of like a few days or something. Well, we could, but I don't think we are, right? Because everyone's pretty uncertain right now. And that was obviously proving that yesterday, right, when we dumped an insane amount and saw $30,000. If we are looking to touch the top side of this broadening wedge, we do have a lot of resistance to get through. We do have a lot of resistance to get through in terms of moving average, horizontal resistance points that we've got plotted out continuously, right? So we do have a lot to get through, and that's why I think it's not going to be imminent. It's not going to be parabolic. It's literally going to be steps up. We're going to be stepping up very gradually if we are going to be doing that, right? We are going to be just stepping up gradually if that is an option. Hopefully it's an option, because we do need to reclaim this bull market barrier to prove that we're not in this bear market, which everyone thinks that we've just switched over to. But the buying momentum to the upside, this is a massive indication on the long term here. This is a massive indication that this was a big trap, right? This was a big trap to shake out those weak hands, So if you were to buy at the bottom here, insane gains, right? Insane gains because the price just went up right from there, right? Personally, for me, I did not buy at the bottom because I didn't see a lot of certainty in the market. One, because we broke this bull market barrier, and it looks like we're switching to a bear market. And two, the validity of Bitcoin yesterday. I'm sure you guys were watching the price action yourself. It was literally nuts. I've not seen that since probably about probably around COVID time. Yeah, when that COVID crash happened in March, right? That's when it got insanely volatile again, and that's what basically happened, and that's why I didn't want to get in, because it was crazy. You didn't know where it was going to stop. You didn't know how low she was going to go. But yeah, we have recovered swiftly, and it is nice. It's nice to see we've recovered for Bitcoin, right? We have recovered for Bitcoin, and we are currently sat at 39,700, right? Let me just get back to the long term briefly. We do have this price channel that we've got going on, and it's healthy, right? I didn't do the MACD and the RSI on short term, right? I mean the midterm, right? Yeah, so let me jump back to the midterm. This is the RSI on the midterm. As you can see here, we do have this dominant trend line to think about. Here's what they think about. Dominant trend line to think about on this on the RSI here, coming down from the top, right? Coming down from the top, we do have this dominant trend line to think about. So if we can get the buying power, if we can get enough buying power, as I was saying, to break this this trend line that we've got going down here, to break this 21 moving average, to smash through these points of resistance, smash the 55 resistance, smash the 55 moving average out of the water, that'd be absolutely brilliant. And we would see an insane surge to the upside in terms of buying power on the midterm for Bitcoin here. We would potentially see some resistance when we hit this point, though. That's what I'm saying. If we get to this point in terms of buying power on the RSI here, we are going to be looking at around, in terms of price, that could potentially throw us up to the 55 moving average, or potentially even the 48,000 Bitcoin horizontal resistance zone to think about. If we can get there, I could potentially see a pullback happening from there. Potentially, it might happen at the 55 moving average, but these are definitely things to think about if you're playing this off in terms of swing trades on the midterm, right? Definitely things to think about. Very crucial, right? Very, very crucial. But it's looking good. We've got a lot of space here before we can see any resistance in terms of buying power. And as you can see, we have just come from being oversold here. We've just come from being oversold. So now we're having that reversal, that nice uptrend, that nice calm, the nice calm part of the market where everyone's just making them gains, right? Everyone's just making them gains. The portfolios are trickling back up, right? And that's what we want. Right now, straight to the MACD here, straight to the MACD on the midterm for Bitcoin. As you can see, we are imminent. We're imminent for a bullish crossover, right? This is happening literally as we speak. As we speak, we've got a bullish crossover happening on the MACD here. I sound like a commentator. But yeah, in terms of the trend for the buying power right now, not the buying power, in terms of the uptrend on the MACD that we've got going on here, you can see we've pretty much fizzled out. We've pretty much gone flaccid in terms of buying power, and that was obviously due to this huge crash that we've been basically in for like 3, 4, 5 days, something like that now, right? We've been going down, and that's all this momentum to the downside, all these downtrends, and that's what's basically been controlling the market on the midterm, right? And to controlling the trend, sorry. Now, as you can see, this is pretty much coming to an end, right? This uptrend on the MACD here is pretty much coming to an end. We're setting lower highs continuously, and now if we're going to find a bit of resistance, we could potentially find some resistance here. If we find some resistance on the MACD here, we are going to have a bearish crossover, and it's going to be imminent. It's going to be soon. It's going to be very much like the scenario that was played out here, right? We're going to have not a lot of uptrend going on here on the MACD, not really any higher highs or anything like that being set. Because if we get another crossover like so, and then we're going to switch to a downtrend on the MACD. If we look at the cycle for a downtrend on the MACD at this point, there's not a lot to go on. There's not a lot to go on because we could come and we could find support on this point here. If we're not going to, we're going to start some new sort of cycle. But at this point, we've only had 2 really dominant touches in terms of support, so I can see easily see another one here. But with that being said, as you can see, we are imminent for the end of this cycle. The end of this uptrend cycle on the MACD here, and that could indicate a new cycle, and it could indicate a massive surge in the price of Bitcoin in terms of like buying up power, right? We could see a higher high set of this new trend cycle, right? And then we could be looking at some sort of trend cycle looking literally like that, right? And that could mean literally Bitcoin coming up, as I said before, testing this resistance point at the 47,000 mark, 46,000 mark, and basically forming a new trend cycle from there. If that's to happen, the downtrend is basically going to fizzle out, and that's what we want because there's not going to be a lot of downtrend. So we could just be smashing these points of resistance here. So I do think, in my opinion, at the moment for Bitcoin, we are looking at a break to the moon, right? Probably not to the moon, but probably like into the lower atmosphere, right? Into the lower atmosphere. That's what we're looking for Bitcoin. We're looking for a new cycle. So if you want to be trading the midterm for Bitcoin, look for this cycle. Look for this new higher high being set on the MACD here of this cycle, and look for a new trend, right? Look for a new trend pattern, and then trade that. If we can get that break, it could be a potential long position, right? It could be a potential long position because obviously we've got the RSI giving us a signal that we're going to come up and hit this point of resistance here. But before we get there, we need that buying power. We do have potential for a new cycle because this one's over on the MACD as well. So these are definitely things to think about when trading the midterm for Bitcoiny-whiny, right? Now let's get to the long term, right? Let's get to the long term. I'm just going to have some H2O. Let's get to the long term, right? Oh, God, that's good. Yeah, so the long term right now, as I was just saying, we do, before I messed up and didn't do the MACD or the RSI, as you can see here, we do have this price channel, pretty dominant price channel that we've been in since February, right? Since we've been in since February, it's a bit of a consolidation period after we saw these pumps, right? After we saw these pumps, we have needed this consolidation period for it to be healthy, for us to see a healthy Bitcoin, right? This 30K Bitcoin that we saw yesterday, I mean, in terms of percentages, right? In terms of percentages from the start of this bull run, right? We saw an all-time high of 65K around that point, right? 420% gain. 420% gain, right? Now, in terms of the downwards trend from that 420% gain, we've only pulled back 53%, right? We've only pulled back 53%, which is still, believe it or not, healthy. It's still healthy for a chart to do that, right? A chart's not just going to keep going up. It's not just going to keep going up. And if it is going to go up, we're going to see bigger crashes than a 50% crash, right? We're going to see insane crashes. And that's why this has happened yesterday. And we did have a lot of panic selling in the market. I know a lot of people that were panic selling. They were like, oh my God, we got to sell it all. We're going to lose it all. It's going to go down to nothing. Impossible. Absolutely impossible, right? We were obviously going to bounce, but no one knows where we were going to bounce, whether it was going to be 30K, whether it was going to be 20K, because the insane validity of the market then was just too much to even get some sort of prediction on. But congratulations to people who had the kahunas to buy up at the bottom because they've seen those gains. They've seen those gains in terms of if you got in at the 30K mark, if you had those limit orders at 30K, you'd be sitting around 30% right now for your portfolio, or in terms of one trade for Bitcoin, which is very good indeed in terms of a gain, right? For me, personally, I like to be a safe trader. I don't like to get into the FUD FOMO market and the really volatile market, right? I like to just play it safe, look for those patterns, look for those indications for a nice healthy trade, and stay away from this, right? Stay away from this, right? Now, let's talk about the long term, right? Let's talk about the long term. So, this is obviously the bull market barrier. This is the bull market barrier, well, not obviously, but it is the bull market barrier. And as you can see, it's blue. This big thing is blue, right? It's blue because this is when we're in a bull market, right? This is when we're in a bull market. Now, if we're yellow, we are uncertain of what market we're in. We're sideways. We're consolidating. We're deciding where Bitcoin's going to go. And as you can see, we did change back to yellow on the 12th of May. And we have been kind of falling, not consolidating, falling from there, right? Excuse me. And then we just absolutely fell off a cliff and switched to a bear market on this indicator, right? We've switched to a bear market on this indicator. And if I just jump back to the last bull market we had back in 2018, right? Or 2017, we started it, right? 2017 we started it, right? On this chart anyway. But yeah, as you can see here, we were in this bull market. We were in this blue. We saw the all-time high of 19.6, and then we came down. We did some testing of this barrier that we've got here, and then we basically fell off a cliff. But it's interesting here. We fell off a cliff. We saw lows, right? We saw insane lows for Bitcoin. But as you can see, we did bounce back. We bounced back in terms of percentages, right? We bounced back nearly 100%, right? We nearly bounced back 100% before the continuation down. And I'm sure, as a lot of you know, that $3,000 Bitcoin, which is just so cheap, so cheap. But yeah, basically what I'm saying now, we lost the bull market barrier, and then we came back up pretty swiftly, right? Pretty swiftly. This is the 12-hour, so this is over the course of like maybe 2-3 weeks or so, maybe a bit less, right? Just an estimation. So this is an indication what we're doing right now, if history is repeating itself. So we saw that bottom, which we did see yesterday for the live price action. We saw that 30K bottom for Bitcoin, and we've just seen that surge of buying power, to the upside, right? In terms of the percent of where we're at, and I think I said 51% of how much we've gone up. Let me double check that, and I can basically reference it back to the last bull market that we were in. 32, right? 32%, right? Let's leave that there for now. So we hit 32% on that. Currently we've been up 32% from the bottom, right? Let me get 32% up on the chart from where we hit the bottom on the last massive crash on this when we're switching over to this bear market, right? As you can see here, it's literally a bit lower. Yeah, just about 32% there. So we're not even halfway. We're nowhere near even halfway to where we could be coming up and seeing that retest and seeing that rebound in terms of the live price right now. So that is something to think about, because if Bitcoin's going to see another surge of around 30 to 40 to maybe even 50%, just to test the water and then have the continuation down, these are potential positions that we could be looking at. We could be looking at. And in terms of factors, whether we're in a bull market or a bear market, we do have to think about that as well, because at this point in time, we are actually in a bear market, right? We are in a bear market on this chart. And to break back through this channel, we're going to need a surge of 80% at least, right? 80% at least. And currently, we're 32% of the way, right? We only need 50% more. Only 50% more for Bitcoin, right? Come on, guys, buy it up. But yeah, to even test it, to even turn yellow, to even see some uncertainty in this bull market barrier to where we are in terms of an uptrend, in terms of a bull market or a bear market, we need to be testing this point here. This is the first target, right? That is 42, nearly 43. For me, personally, I think we're going to get there, right? We have seen a bit of a sell-off recently this morning, in terms of since I started my stream, because I think I started it and we were around 40K, right? So we are seeing a little bit of a sell-off here, not a lot, just a little bit, but this is it's just healthy price action, right? In terms of where I think we're going to go today, I think we could see we could see a $43,000 Bitcoin, and that would be an amazing sign. It would be an amazing sign that we are going to start to surge to the upside. But as I said before, we do have that bull market barrier. We do have to think about basically getting swiftly rejected, and this could just be a massive trap, and we are going to start that continuation down. So these are definitely things to think about when trading Bitcoin on the long term, and just trading Bitcoin in general, right? But yeah, let's get some rounded blue box zones. As you can see, we do primarily respect these rounded blue box zones here. And for me, I didn't get it long because obviously it was all going crazy. But we're meant to long as we leave this blue box zone here. If we did long as we moved out of this blue box zone here, we wouldn't have seen a stop out because the stop out would have been at the bottom of this blue box zone here. We would have seen. Actually, we would have seen, that's the open, right? Yeah, that's the open. Let's get it there. We would have seen actually like an 8% gain at this point in time, right? And in terms of taking profit, we take profit at all of these yellow lines, right? We take a nice 20%, 20%, 20%, 20%, right? That's how we do it. That's how we do it to cover our position. And then if we come back down, we've already taken profit all the way up. And that is basically a great trading technique, right? It's a great trading technique. So I didn't get in that trade, but I will be if we can see some confirmation of the price chilling out, which at this point in time, it's not really chilling out. It's still insanely volatile from the open of this candle from the 12-hour. We've been going in this candle for nearly 9 hours, something like that, and we've seen a surge of 16%. We have retraced a bit from that, but we're still seeing a surge of a 16%, which is crazy in terms of volatility. I can't really say that word, validity in the market, right? So yeah, things to think about when trading. We do have another point of, obviously what I'm saying is we need to get to this 43 mark to break this bull market barrier. But if we don't get there, if we get there, we need to think about the potential for the resistance from there, right? Because that is in line with the bull market barrier. This big barrier I was just talking about. It's in line with that bull market barrier. It's in line with the rounded blue box zones. So we could potentially see some swift rejections from there. If we see some swift rejections from there, we could see a panic sell-off again. But in my opinion, I don't think we're going to see a repeat of yesterday. I really hope we don't see a repeat of yesterday because a lot of people lost a lot of money. But obviously, people are trying to trap. They are trying to trap the markets, the big guys, to basically liquidate all the new little people who are putting on those future trades, right? So yeah, so if we do, that's kind of the long term for Bitcoin. I kind of want to jump to some other coins, right? This is very messy. Well, that's more on the daily. That's right. Right. Let's move. So as you can see, this is XRP, baby. XRP, we did actually see a measure move get completed after everything done. Just to summarize altcoins at the moment, we did see surges of nearly 50%, right? Surges of nearly 50% to the downside, which was just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy to see, right? And as you can see here, we have seen some swift recovery in terms of altcoins, right? Some swift recovery in terms of altcoins. And look, even XRP got all the way down to 85 cents, right? Insane, absolutely crazy. 85 cents for XRP, which is, in my opinion, insanely cheap, right? But obviously, there was a lot of uncertainty in the market. But with that being said, as you can see, this volume-weighted ATR band that we've got going through here, look at that. That is some serious respect. In serious respect of that volume-weighted ATR band, right? That's some serious stuff. So next time we see some sort of dump like that, I'm probably going to be getting in around the volume-weighted ATR band and progressing. Just going to kind of hold my own and basically pray, right? Pray the market doesn't keep going down. But at this point in time, as you can see, we do have a lot of respect for this volume-weighted ATR band on the 4-hour. In terms of the downside, right? But as you can see here, we do actually fall below it. If we fall below it, we usually trade along it, right? We usually trade along it, or we reclaim it as it is here, right? And this is XRP, guys. Now, in terms of measure moves, right? In terms of measure moves for this giant symmetrical triangle that we've been in since God knows how long, we're all waiting for a massive break to the upside, maybe seeing a $3 XRP there, which we're all praying on, and then it absolutely dumped to the downside, and we saw an 85 cent, and we could be in a bear market right now. So, in my opinion, we could see it surge even lower, but who knows? We don't know at this point. It's pretty uncertain in terms of the market. We just kind of have to wait. Kind of have to wait right now and see if we can hit this 43K zone for Bitcoin, right? See if we can hit this 43K zone for Bitcoin. If we can break that and start surging to the upside, then yes, I will be looking at altcoins once again to get in. to make those insane gains, right? Because that's why we're here, right? That's why we're here, to make them insane gains and progress our portfolios so we can all be rich. Exactly, right? In terms of measure moves, right? In terms of measure moves that were completed yesterday for XRP, let me have a little look here. We do have this one here coming down. That got completed very swiftly indeed. So well done to anyone who got in that trade. You've got some big kahunas if you did get in that trade. And that is a 30% gain, right? Near enough 30% gain for XRP. In terms of the short term for XRP right now, we're looking at basically a ascending triangle forming. Not the healthiest thing in the world, but it is an ascending triangle nonetheless, right? An ascending triangle nonetheless. Oh, just about, I mean, didn't quite get to the top, so it makes it more symmetrical, right? If that's straight, it is an ascending triangle, but it is a bit more symmetrical as this trend line is slanted, right? So yeah, if we're looking for a break to the upside on the short term, right? I'm going to change the color of these lines so it's a bit more appealing, right? So obviously this is a symmetrical triangle for XRP. Let me just change the color. No, it's not like that. But yeah, in terms of a measure move, right, we could be looking at something along the lines of this. If we're to break to the upside for XRP, we could be looking at a measure move all the way up to $1.42, right? $1.42. And in terms of percents, that's like a 20% trade, right? 20% trade. But obviously take into account, we do have these major points of resistance, right? All these trend lines that are flowing around here, there's quite a lot. It's pretty ugly, right? All these trend lines that are flowing around here, right? And that's because it puts some out on some different time frames and some on some. It's really annoying. They disappear and then they appear, right? It's just trading view, right? But yeah, if we break to the upside, out of this symmetrical triangle on the short term, this is the 15-minute chart, right? So this is more like scalpy, not quite as low as scalps, but more like short-term swings, right? Short-term swings. That's a great description. I'm just gonna have some water. Choking. I didn't think talking like this every day live on the stream would really hurt my throat at all, but it's definitely giving it a run for its money, right? In terms of measure moves, as I said, we do have a lot of resistance to get through. If we do see a reclamation, if we do see us reclaim this giant symmetrical triangle that we've been looking at since May, I think it was, for a long time, we could see a measure move to the upside, right? We could see a measure move to the upside, and that would basically indicate that we're going to come and test this volume weighted ATR band. As you can see, we primarily respect it, right? We primarily We primarily respect this volume weighted ATR band all the way along, right? All the way along, primarily we do have respect on it. So that indicates we are going to have some resistance from it, right? And this is XRP. We are going to have some resistance from this volume weighted ATR band. But in order to get there, we do need to break this this 200 moving average here. And as you can see, we do find a lot of support on that. That keeps appearing right in my drawing thing. We do find a lot of support on that, as you can see here. But we do actually have quite a bit of resistance from it in terms of downward selling pressure, right? So that's something to think about. If we are going to come up and test it, if we are going to break this symmetrical triangle, we did actually test it, and we have found resistance off this on this trend line it's just created. So that is why we're forming the symmetrical triangle. Personally, what I can see happening here is us coming down, testing the 55 and the 21 moving average that we've got. Doing their nice little crossover there, which indicates a move in the price, quite a big move in the price here. So we could see XRP come down, test this, potentially come up. If we don't come up, I can see us basically breaking down. I can see us basically breaking down and testing the lower side of this symmetrical triangle, and basically creating a pattern looking like something along the lines of this, right? That's the ideal scenario for XRP in terms of a trade pattern, and then we'd be looking at a measure move probably further down at probably a lot smaller, right? Probably a lot smaller in terms of size and percent. Looking probably something like that if we get some insane dump today, right? If we get some insane dump today and test the lower side, we're looking at a measure move if we can come up and test the top side, and it would look something along the lines of that. And that might even line up perfectly with the 200 moving average that's coming down there, right? Things to think about when trading XRP. Now, let's go to the MACD on XRP here. Let's go to the MACD on XRP. It looks good. It looks pretty good in terms of trend cycle that we've got going on here. We've got a higher high here, and that's basically coming down, pushing here. We're finding support, resistance off it here, and we're looking at to come up. If we're gonna bang the price to the upside here and test this top side of this symmetrical triangle here, we are gonna see a test of this trend cycle of this trend line on the MACD here, right? And that would indicate some potential resistance there, right? So it would indicate some potential resistance, and that'll basically say that we're potentially going to come down from there. And we are imminent. As you can see, we are imminent for a bearish crossover here. We're imminent for a bearish crossover, but don't be too worried. Don't be too worried, because we do have this cycle coming down here, this trend setting a lower low here, and then higher lows continuously. So I can't really see it being that big, right? I can't see the downtrend being that big, which basically indicates that we could be chilling around this point for a while before we see either a new trend cycle where we dump to the downside on the MACD, and that'll basically obviously bring the price down, or we see a new trend cycle and we break the top side of the symmetrical triangle, right? Definitely things to consider when trading XRP. In terms of the RSI, we nearly got oversold here. We nearly got oversold. But as at this point in time, overbought here. We nearly got overbought here. But at this point in time, we are on the way back down to the central point of the RSI, which is good, right? Which is good in terms of indicating where the price is going to go. If we're oversold, we're looking at the price coming down, right? We're looking at the price coming down on the chart. And if we're overbought, we're looking at the price coming down. And if we're oversold at the bottom here, we're looking at the price coming up, right? Because if it's low, people are going to buy it. If it's high, people are going to sell it. Simple stuff there, guys, right? And that basically has a very good indication of what the price is going to do. So that's definitely things to think about. Definitely things to consider, right? Definitely things to consider when trading. Always check your RSI. Always check your MACD for your trend cycles and stuff like that. Very great indicators there. That's kind of XRP covered for the short term there. I'm not going to jump to the long term. I want to jump to another coin here. If you're enjoying the stream, guys, smash that like button up, turn that thumbs up blue, helps me out tremendously. And if you want to see me stream every day, I'm going to be streaming every day, Monday to Friday, for around a minimum of an hour, right? Minimum of an hour, and I do a short term of Bitcoin, a mid term of Bitcoin, and a long term of Bitcoin. Just hit that subscribe button. You're never going to miss one of my streams. I also like to do my research on some altcoins as well. Obviously, if we enter this bear market, it might change a bit because obviously altcoins will dump with that. But I do like to do my research on my altcoins and try and find some alt gems where we can invest little bit. Obviously, it's not financial advice. Where I can invest, little amounts of money, and we could see them insane 3,000% gains, right? I do like to research them as well, and I do like to put out videos for you guys in terms of educational purposes. So if you want to see videos of that as well, drop a comment on the stream. Maybe suggest a coin for me to do, right? Hit that subscribe button, and you're never going to miss one of those coins. And you could potentially get in early and make them insane gains, like I did one the other day. It was called GoChain, right? And they're potentially trying to colonize the energy sector in terms of blockchain technology. And that's a $2 trillion market, right? Insane gains if that coin blows up. Absolutely insane gains. And I think it was like half a cent or something. No, it was 5 cents, right? It was 5 cents, yeah. Let's jump to the old famous Matic, right? Let's jump to the old famous Matic. As you can see right now, we are on the hourly time frame. If you want to copy this on your chart, guys, I do like you guys copying this, not copying my trades, but copying my my TA here, because it's educational purposes, and I like teaching inexperienced traders, right? As you can see here, we do have this rising wedge to the upside. Near enough a channel, but it is a rising wedge, right? If we're going to be moving some trend lines on the all-time highs and that sort of thing there, we could be doing it like that. But as you can see, it's more healthy on the lower side because we do have the more touches, right? We do have the more touches, which makes it a more healthy trend line. So that right there is a rising wedge that we've got going on here. And we did break that yesterday. Obviously, this insane dumps to the downside. And we did see a near enough $1 Matic, right? After seeing an all-time high the other day of around $2.70 there, we saw a $1 Matic, which is just insane dumpage, right? Insane deep sea dives in that huge trench in the ocean, right? I can't remember what it's called. But yeah, in terms of measure moves to the upside, because obviously we have reclaimed this wedge now. We've reclaimed this wedge, and we are skirting around it. I did see a lot of buying power to the upside for Matic yesterday. Way more than all the other altcoins pretty imminently after the crash, right? I think there's a lot going on with Polygon right now. And there's some insane gains to be made, right? Insane gains to be made for Matic. But right now, what I'm seeing, we obviously are in this rising wedge here. In terms of measure moves, if we're going to break to the upside, I would like to see something along the lines of this. I'm going to go on the most recent sort of uptrend, which would be just here, this insane buying power. Obviously, it's not that reliable because it is, look how goddamn steep it is, right? But in terms of a measure move to the upside, depending on where we're going to break, it would be looking something along the lines of this. And obviously, we would need to find some support on this volume weighted ATR band and not find resistance on the all-time high, right, and find support on it instead and basically bounce to the upside. So it's definitely something to think about in terms of a trade for Matic in the future, because as we know, we do have surges of buying power to the upside with Matic. So we could potentially see a trade today. Who knows? We could potentially seeing the support on this on the support line at $1.85, but at this moment we do see some sort of trend reversal on the hourly, right? We are testing the 55 moving average, which is something to think about, because if we can find some nice support on that, we could potentially be seeing us going up and testing the top side of this rising wedge here, right? If we don't see any support on this horizontal support line or this 21 moving average or this 55, and we lose it and we basically find some nice resistance here, we're going to be coming down and we're going to be testing this 200 moving average that we've got going on here. If we can find some support on that, then it's probably going to be a nice little bit of consolidation for Matic. And in my personal opinion, we need it, right? We need it for Matic. Matic has just seen surges, right? We've seen surges of price action, surges of buying power for Matic recently. And this proved it yesterday. This proved it yesterday when we saw a $1 Matic. We went all the way back up to $2.30 in a matter of a few hours, right? In a matter of a few hours, in terms of percentages for that, look at that. That is 125%. 125% there. It's just insane. Absolutely insane gains, right? So well done if you spotted that. And look, it just forms perfectly with this volume weighted ATR band again. So it's definitely something that I'm going to think about if we see another crash, right? If we see another crash, I'm going to be looking at this volume weighted ATR band with beady eyes, right? I'm going to be looking at it and I'm going to be looking at getting in, right? Because that is some insane gains right there. It's a bit FUD, bit FOMO, but I'm looking at, look at the fundamentals are there, right? The fundamentals are there, and that would have been insane gains for portfolios, right? But yeah, let's move to the MACD right now. The MACD on the hourly time frame, as you can see, we do have this horizontal support level to break. We are near enough testing that on the uptrend that we're in, right? On the uptrend that we're in. But as you can see, we are seeing a little bit of price correction on the hourly, right? A little bit of price correction coming down from around $2.08. So that could indicate we are due a bearish crossover pretty soon, right? We are due a bearish crossover pretty soon, but we're pretty far away, right? We're pretty far away before we see that cross, right? If we don't see that cross anytime soon, we could see a nice bit of reversal in the trend, as you can see on the short term that we're seeing now. We could see a nice reversal on this trend, which is probably a bearish crossover on the shorter time frames, right? We could see a nice reversal on this trend and surge price to the upside. If we are going to surge price to the upside, we do need to break this horizontal support point here, right? We do need to break this horizontal support point here and set up a new sort of trend cycle, right? Because at this point in time, this is the higher high. We'll be going off that higher high in terms of a trend, right? In terms of a trend that we've got coming down, it might look something along the lines of this, or we could be setting a new trend now, right? We could be setting a new trend cycle now, as you can see, if we're going off this level of resistance on the MACD here, right? Definitely things to think about, because we could see a surge to the upside. If this is a new cycle on this uptrend on the hourly time frame, it's an indication that we could potentially come up and test the top of this zone. And if we do get that, we're going to be literally imminent for our trade, right? Literally imminent for our trade. But don't get in straight away. I'm not saying get in. I'm saying take this into account for yourself. Obviously, nothing I say is financial advice. It's just my opinions on what I think might happen in the markets from an educational standpoint and purpose, right? If we can break the volume weighted ATR band, if we can break the all-time high, if we can come up, and then we're going to come down and retest. This is the entry point for me, right? This is the entry point for me on the retest. I'm not going to get in as we break up, because we just could see extreme resistance from the all-time high, and we could actually dump off a cliff, right? And then we're going to see a bigger stop loss. We're going to see a bigger stop loss, which would be somewhere around here, right? But if we're going to get in just as we come down on the retest, as we get in here, and then we see it repel to the upside, that's when we're going to be getting in. And if we do come down after that, the stop loss isn't as significant because the entry is a lot lower, right? We're going to see minor losses here, right? Definitely things to think about in terms of Matic, in terms of trading, right? As you can see here, we are central on the RSI. We're not overbought. We're not oversold. No one's being greedy. No one's selling off chunks. We do have this support point at the top here where we became oversold. But you can see with Matic, as soon as we become oversold, we do have mass sell-offs. And that basically means a lot of the market is being controlled by the people, right? The people are controlling a lot of this market right now in terms of the FOMO and that sort of thing. So if we do see some insane surge and we do see some insane buying power here, be prepared for us to come down, right? Be prepared for us to come down on the RSI, which will mean a rejection in the price, which could potentially mean a stop out for our trade. So these are definitely fundamentals to think about. Not fundamentals. These are signs to think about when trading Matic today, right? That's kind of Matic summed up for me, right? In terms of a position that I'd be looking for. If we got any suggestions in the chat there, drop some coins in there. But for now, I'm going to be doing I'm going to jump onto ADA, right? I'm going to have a little look at ADA. God, it really did crash every single chart, right? On ADA yesterday, we did see an insane surge to the downside. We did see a near enough $1 ADA, which is crazy because obviously I've always said I'm insanely bullish on ADA, and I still am, right? I'm still am because they're gonna, in a sense, colonize Africa, which is just insane stuff. Not colonize Africa, but they're gonna colonize the financial system in Africa in terms of blockchain technology and in terms of identity, in terms of giving everyone credit scores and giving everyone opportunity, right? Which is just great stuff, right? It's great stuff for the world and great stuff to hear. But obviously, that is going to mean an insane surge in the price, right? It's going to see an insane surge in the price for ADA there. In terms of what's happening at this point on the hourly time frame, let's jump to the 12-hour right now. We do see this obviously pretty dominant price channel that we have here, right? This pretty dominant price channel that we did respect this support point, this horizontal support point of this channel, right? We did respect that, and we just smashed through the 200 moving average as well. So that indicates some insane selling power, and that's another reason why I didn't get in, right? It's just insane, right? It's just insane what's going on. You could not predict. We could have even come down to 70 cents, right? Who knows? Who knows? That was insane selling power due to Bitcoin yesterday. So you can't really predict where that is going to go, right? And that's why I don't like getting in volatile markets in that sense, right? Let's get rid of that channel for now, right? Get rid of that channel and let's draw some pretty dominant trend lines, right? Pretty dominant trend lines which you can see, right? Pretty dominant trend lines which we can see at this point in time. We're looking at something along the lines of this, right? Because as you can see, we do have nice strong touches, nice strong support, right? Obviously correlating exactly at this point with the 200 moving average here. But in terms of what could happen in the price at this point, we are coming up. We are looking at testing this 55 moving average that we've got going on here. We're looking at testing that point here. And if we can break that and if we can find support on that, we need to be cautious. We need to be cautious. The reason why I say that is because we do have this dominant trend line. This is on the 12-hour. So these trend lines are strong, right? These aren't weak little 15-minute ones that we can break every other hour. These are 12-hour ones. These are pretty solid, right? You can see the momentum to the upside. You can see the momentum to the upside from this dominant trend line here. Now, if I'm drawing a pattern off this, we're going to go from a previous higher high to the other higher high to the latest higher high, and we're looking at a rising wedge, right? We're looking at a rising wedge. Ideally, I'd like the price to come up, touch it here again, and then we would have had a bit more of confirmation of this trend pattern. But as you can see, we are forming nice confirmation, and we did break this pattern to the downside, and that was obviously that insane dump yesterday. So in terms of measure moves to the downside, in terms of that trade, we would have looked something like that, and it would have been a potential take profit at this 200 moving average here, right? Well done to everyone who got in that. For me, wasn't for me. Too volatile, right? Too volatile. But yeah, so we need to think about coming up and reclaiming this wedge, right? If we're going to come up and reclaim this wedge, we've got to get over the volume weighted ATR band, which as you can see, we do find a lot of resistance from. And if we don't find resistance from it, we ride it, baby. We ride the wave. We ride the white whale all the way up, right? We ride it all the way up, which basically shows it's a great indicator to use. And look, it is correlating with the 55 moving average there, which we are currently testing. It's got to get these tools right. They just change without me saying it, right? Which we are currently testing. As you can see, we do find support on this 55 moving average. So if we do break it, I can see us coming up here. I can see us coming up just in terms of the moving averages and chart patterns right now. I can see us coming up and testing the bottom side of this rising wedge that we've got going on here. In terms of the MACD and stuff for the 12-hour, we should probably switch to the lower time frame to that. And I've just done that again. Let me bring up the MACD here. Yeah. Yeah. So as you can see here, we have set a new trend cycle on the 12-hour, right? We have set a new trend cycle on the 12-hour for the MACD. So we could be seeing some insane surge price. That was obviously the insane surge price to the downside. That's probably why I don't really like doing it on the 12-hour, right? It's not as reliable because those candles can fluctuate so much, right? In terms of the RSI right now, I will switch to the short term in a sec. But in terms of the RSI for ADA on the long term right now, we near enough got oversold, right? We near enough got oversold, but we did need it because we were seriously overbought, and that's when we saw that previous all-time high, right? And that's why we saw a dump in the price, and that's why we saw this insane sell-off, and we saw that near enough $1 ADA. But yeah, in terms of right now, before we looking at getting back to central, it's an indication that we are going to get back to the central point, and we are going to tap this trend line here. So that is a thing to think about when when we find support on this 55 moving average on the 12 hour. In terms of the 1 hour right now, we're pretty much central on the RSI, right? Pretty much central on the RSI for ADA. And in terms of trend cycles right now, it looks like we've just set a higher high on the MACD here. So that indicates that we could be seeing a surge in the price, right? We could be seeing a new trend cycle, a new set of gains, right? A new set of a price, right? In terms of the trend, we are miles away from a bearish crossover in terms of downwards pressure right now. So I do think we are going to come up. We are going to come up pretty soon, right? We are going to come up pretty soon. And we do have this new lower low on the MACD here, so that is something to think about as well. Because when we do have that bearish crossover, we're potentially going to set a lower high, and it's not going to be even a big trend at all. We're going to see it crossover, and we're probably just going to see a little retrace in the price, right? A little retrace, probably finding support at around 1.72, and then probably seeing some progressionary price action to the upside from there. And that basically means we're going to come and test this trend line that we've got going on, this dominant trend line, which we were just discussing on the 12 hour, right? It's an indication that we are going to come up and we are going to test that, and we are going to break the 55 on the 1 hour chart. So yeah, I think we're coming up. We're coming up for ADA. The next level of resistance, which we are going to be testing, is this at 1.73. We need to find support on that to look like we're going to bounce to the upside. But as you can see, we are currently finding support on the 21 moving average here, which is ideal, right? Which is ideal because as you can see here, the downwards pressure off that 21 is pretty strong, right? If we were going to see that, we would probably come down to around £1.50 again. But we have claimed it. We have found support on it. We are looking at that momentum to the upside. And we did see it on the last candle, right? We did see it on the last candle. So I could potentially see us on this candle. Granted, we've only got 8 minutes left of this candle, so we could come down and test this 21 here, and then basically come up from there. And if we do come down and we lose it, I'd be looking at the next point of support at 156, right? 156. In terms of take profits and stop losses, depending on your position, right? Bottom right now, the insane support point I'd look at is around 1.51 for ADA. Definitely just things to think about. But as I said, in terms of the RSI and the MACD on the short term, we are looking at some sort of upwards buying pressure. And I do think we are going to come up and test this 55 and break this level of resistance at 1.73 pretty imminently, in my opinion, right? Right now. That is me done. That is me done for ADA. It's me done for ADA. I'm going to jump to BNB right now. I'm going to jump to BNB, right? I'm going to jump to BNB and do a little TL on BNB. This is the hourly time frame. As you can see, we obviously dumped like a mother trucker yesterday. We dumped insane, right? And we do have this broadening wedge, which obviously say I don't like broadening wedges. And this is obviously on the 1 hour. So if we jump to the 12 hour, right? Jump to the 12 hour. We do obviously have this dominant trend line in terms of a level of support. If we are going to come down lower, it is going to be at $336 for BNB there. If we can just, yeah, that'd be the next level of support for BNB there. In terms of testing the level of resistance, we are going to be looking at testing this 406, 407 mark and that's the 200 moving average that we got there, and that near enough correlates with this broadening wedge. Broadening wedge trend line that we've got going on there as well. Excuse me. In terms of recovery for BNB, I am insanely bullish on BNB. If we can get over this on Bitcoin and basically see some sort of a bull market reversal on this bull market barrier here, if we can get over this bull market barrier and basically get over it at around 53,000. Obviously, it's not going to be imminent. It's going to take a little while. We're going to have to ride up some waves, find support on a lot of moving averages on the way up. So I can't see it happening pretty much anytime soon. I think it's going to be quite a lot of sideways consolidation period. So indication for what I think BNB could be doing, I pretty much think we're just going to ride this for a bit. We're just going to be consolidating along this 200 moving average on the 12 hour, right? We're going to be consolidating along the 200 moving average on the 12 hour. So I mean, I'm still bullish on it because of the technology and stuff that they do. So I can see some surge in price, but it's just as and when, right? As and when what the markets are doing, what Bitcoin's going to decide to do, whether we're in that horrible bear market that everyone's talking about right now. As the RSI for the 12 hour, we're pretty much oversold, right? We're pretty much oversold, and that's quite interesting, right? That's quite interesting because we were insanely oversold yesterday, and in terms of price, not in terms of the RSI, right? Just about, right? Just about. But in terms of what we're recovering today, we're up 32%, right? We're up 32%, and we're still oversold. So that basically indicates that we're not having a lot of buying power. We're not having a lot of what's the word? Confidence. Not a lot of confidence in BNB right now, okay? I think a lot of people have got their money into Ethereum. I don't know why, because the fees are just insane, and BNB is 10 times better in my opinion, right? But the MACD on the 12-hour alert, we've got that insane lower low to think about. We're miles away from a bullish crossover, so we are going to need to see some insane buying power, right? Insane buying power for BNB. But in the long term, in terms of hodling, I am looking. Well, not looking. I'm extremely bullish on Binance itself, right? Let's jump to the short term for Binance and get rid of these lines that I just drew, right? Get rid of these lines. The support level that we're looking at, is 301, right? 301, that's probably the bottom I can see if we get rejected off this volume weighted ATR band that we're testing currently. We are currently testing this 21 moving average as well. So if we do see some downwards selling pressure from there, I can basically see us coming down and testing this level of support at 302. But obviously that was the massive crash yesterday. That was the level of support that we created, right? That was the level of support we created. So I don't essentially see us getting down there unless we have an extreme sell-off again with Bitcoin itself. I can see us basically breaking these two resistance points that we've got going on here, and then coming up, right? And then coming up and testing this 417 mark, this trend line of this broadening wedge. And as well as that, we do have the 55 moving average coming down as well. And the problem is we see a lot of resistance from that 55 moving average if we look back in the short-term history, right? You can see we either consolidate along it or we see quite a bit of heavy resistance, right? Quite a bit of heavy resistance. That's this green line here, right? It's this green line, the heavy resistance we find off that. So we do need to think about some sort of correction if we're going to see a surge in the price. And that could mean a correction down to the 21, which is just curling off, right? Down to the 21 moving average, and then basically a sideways period from here, right? And that's what I was talking about again on the long term for BNB, right? Definitely things to think about. Guys, if you're liking the stream, hit that thumbs up, turn that guy blue, helps me out tremendously. And also, if you want to stream, well, it's not stream with me. If you want to trade with me every day, I'll be streaming every morning from Monday to Friday. I aim to stream for just over like an hour or two, depending on what the markets are doing, right? I did do a 3-hour stream and it absolutely killed me, but I will be looking at doing other stuff like that as well, right? I do also do altcoin videos in terms of alt gems that we're looking at investing in. Obviously, nothing I say is financial advice. It's just my opinions of what I think might happen. But I like to give an educational standpoint on some of the blockchain technology that is happening in the world today, because I think, in my personal opinion, it's pretty fascinating, and decentralized finance is pretty much going to change the world. But I don't think we're quite ready for it yet. As we saw yesterday in terms of the dump, and in terms of the market cap for a lot of the coins are literally held by people hodling and trying to make millions, right? And that was the insane selling power to the downside, right? So if everyone who was doing that sold all their coins, we would look at some insane surge to the downside, probably way more than what we just saw. So that basically means there's not actually that much money inside of the actual technology itself, right? It's just traders and hodlers. So I don't think we're ready for this technology, but we'll get there, right? We'll get there. And if we can get in early, if we can get some nice little gems, right, we're going to make some serious gains, right? Some serious gains. And that's why we're here. That's exactly why we're here, to make those gains, right? So that is Binance Coin. So in terms of the RSI, we are pretty central, right? And that's the short term. The RSI, pretty central. In terms of the MACD here, we're pretty flaccid. No, not quite. We're setting a new higher high here in terms of an uptrend. We are far away from a bearish crossover, so we are looking at some progression in the price. And that's why I think we could potentially find support on this volume-weighted ATR band and come up and test this 55 moving average, this green one that's coming down here, and also correlating perfectly with this trend line that we've got going on here. I do see some resistance coming off that. And that point will basically be the new cycle for the trend on the MACD here. I'm just going to have some H2O. How long have we been streaming now? 1 hour nearly 1 hour. I think I should set targets for the hourly. Once I do an hour, I should jump back to Bitcoin and do like a summary. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys. Let me know what you think. Definitely, I think I should do that, because obviously my videos are titled Bitcoin, not altcoins at this point. So yeah, if we just summarize Bitcoin right now, we haven't really done a lot since we last spoke about it. I did say we were potentially going to come up and test this 55, and that was around the 40k mark, but we haven't really done a lot. We've kind of sat on the price action channel, finding support there. We are literally 40 seconds away from closing the hourly candle here. So if we can get some zooming in going, we could see some price action here. We could see some price action potentially coming down, testing this 21 moving average, or coming up and testing this 55, right? In terms of being oversold and overbought right now, we're pretty central. Who knows what we could do? But as I said, we did have this this trend line that we just have broke, right? We just have broke. So that means we could have some surge in the price and basically a break of this 55. So it's definitely things to think about. Or we could be looking at coming down, testing this and finding support on it. If we can find support on it, ideal. Absolutely ideal. In the ideal world, we're going to come up and we're going to be overbought again, right? And that's going to surge the price up to the top side of this channel on the short term, right? And that's Bitcoin at this point in time. We've just seen that new candle open, right? What is the price going to do right now? What's the price going to do right now? We are looking at coming down and testing the price action channel here. At this point, we are dumping. We are dumping right now. This is live price action channel. This is live price action channel from Bitcoin here. This is 39,600. That's the target price if we're looking for support on the price action channel, which is this giant channel that we've got here, right? And that's basically made up of all of the major moving averages, basically plotted into a channel on an indicator, and we do usually find support on it, right? We usually find support on it, or we do find resistance off it, and it basically, for me on my chart, indicates whether we're in an uptrend or a downtrend, right? If we're red, we're in a downtrend. If we're blue, we're in an uptrend. As you can see here, we crossed over, blue, we start this uptrend, right? Come back down, red, we come down, test the 200, get rebounded off there, potential trade there. As you can see here, come up, enter your position here. We've just entered an uptrend, trade it all the way up. As you can see, riding that wave, take profit around the top here, and then basically come down from there, right? Yeah, if we're blue, uptrend, red, downtrend, right? So that's basically that indicator explained very briefly. But as you can see here, we are testing that price action channel on the lower side for Bitcoin, right? And that is nearly 19,000. God, I wish. Be a big buying opportunity if it was 19K. 39,715 for Bitcoin there. What is she going to do? I'd like to see a rebound and test the top side of this 55, the bottom side of this 55 moving average coming down, and hopefully find support on that and basically break to the upside. And as I was just saying, we are looking at doing that on the RSI here, because we do have this dominant trend line that we need to sort of respect and find support off it. If we do, that's going to be ideal. And that's basically proves that we are going to surge to the upside from there, right? Right now. That's basically Bitcoin for now. In terms of live price action, we are coming down to test it, right? We are coming down to test it. Definitely things to think about, right? In terms of the midterm right now, we are coming down to test this 21 moving average. The 10 simple. We are coming down to test this 10 simple moving average here. And we did actually find a bit of support on that at 939, right? And this is obviously not the 1 hour. This is the 4 hour time frame. So we do have near enough 3 hours left. 3 hours left, which could indicate we could break it and fall to the downside, or we could find support and push to the upside. But we are pretty much pinned. We're pretty pinned at the moment between this dominant trend line here and this moving average that we've got here. So we could see some sideways action and then a potential break from there, coming up to the volume weighted ATR band and this 21 moving average here. Things to think about in terms of trading. If we were going to get into a long after we cleared this major trend line here, right, we could be looking at a nice little 3% scalp for Bitcoin there. Definitely things to think about if you're a scalper out there. If we're going to dump below it, if we lose the support that we have on this, if we lose support that we have currently on this moving average, right, we could be looking at coming down, right? We could be looking at coming down, testing the bottom side of this trend line. Yeah, the bottom side of this trend line that we've got going on here. And that'd be looking at a nice 7% trade there. Definitely things to think about when trading Bitcoin on the midterm. But at this point in time, we are seeing a swift recovery here. We are seeing a swift recovery, nice test, finding support on the price action channel. It's like I'm commentating Bitcoin. Finding support on this price action channel, and then basically potentially coming up and testing this this 55 moving average. And let's jump back to the RSI here. We didn't quite get to that support point on the RSI there, but yeah, we could. We're only obviously very early into that candle there. Let's jump to the long term. As I said before, on the long term, we are looking at testing this 42-43 zone. If we can test that, if we can find it, if we can get some support there, we could be looking at reversal in this bear market, which we have just entered onto on this indicator, right? This could basically be a fake out. We could see a nice V-shaped recovery, finding support on this bull market barrier, and then basically a trickle up from there. That's the ideal scenario. That's what I want to happen. That is going to make everybody hella gains, right? Absolutely hella gains. That's what we want, right? That is what we want. Now, that's obviously Bitcoin summed up for the hour. About 4 minutes to do that. Try to fly that out. Let's do a little bit. I don't want to stream for ages today. I only want to stream for like an hour and a half, something along those lines. But let's jump to Doge, right? Let's jump to Doge. I don't really like Doge, but a lot of people trade Doge. We did actually see let's jump to the 4 hour. We did actually see. Oh, where's all my indicators? I'm on the wrong chart. That's why. That makes sense. Yeah. So right, jump to Doge. Jump to Doge. Jumping to Doge right now. We are on the 1 hour time frame here. Let's jump to the 12. Let's jump to the 12. We obviously had this giant channel here, right? We had this giant channel to think about here that we were basically finding support on the lower side, right? Finding support on the lower side here. And then we did see basically a measure move come down, and we did break that. We didn't touch the bottom side of that measure move, but we did see a 20-cent Doge, which is just insane, right? Absolutely insane for Doge. And probably a few people got in, but for me, I don't like meme coins. I'm not a Doge guy myself. Don't know what Elon's going to do with it. Lot of variables there, but I'm pretty sure someone owns 23% of the supply still, so that's basically like, it's a no-go for me, right? It's not safe in terms of risk, in terms of hodling. I'm not a fan, and my opinion, if you're going to make the gains with Doge, you'd have got in right back when it was absolutely nothing to get in, right? These surges, they are big, they are unhealthy, and that is basically just FOMO market, right? It's FOMO market and silly market cap, right? Silly market cap for a FOMO market. It's just stupid, right? I think we hit like 4th on the coin market cap list, right? I do have this alarm set at 12 cent, right? I don't know why. That's probably from before. Probably breaking that all-time high from before, right? Or coming down to test it. Yeah, Doge at this point in time, I can see us coming up. The next level of resistance that we're going to be looking at on the long term is around 40 cents there. 40 cents there for Doge. So if you are holding Doge, we could potentially see a 40-cent Doge today, but we are going to see some buying power, and that's obviously on the predication of what Bitcoin is doing. At this point in time, let's jump to the 4 hour. Let's jump to the 4 hour for Doge. Yeah, 4 hour for Doge. The level of resistance that we're actually fighting, that we're testing continuously here, is at 38 cents. Right. If we can find some support on that 38 cents mark, we could be looking at coming up and testing this 200. Right. We could be looking at coming up and testing that 200. And as you can see, if we find support on the 200. We're going to have a surge. We're likely to have a surge to the upside for Doge on the short term. Likely to see it's an upsurge for Doge on the short term if we can find support on this 200 moving average here. Obviously, we do have this level of resistance here at 41,000. If we can find some support on that as well, we are going to come up and test this 55 and the 21 as well. And it's likely that we consolidate together and see a sort of breakout point when the price action gets thin, gets sideways, gets consolidated, and then we break out and probably break to the upside, knowing Doge, right? In terms of the RSI right now, in terms of the RSI, we did get oversold, and that was obviously yesterday, and now we're kind of on the buying point, coming back to the central part, which means we are seeing a lot of buying power to the upside for Doge. In terms of percentages right now, we are looking at something along the, if we go, I don't really want to go from the bottom because that's just bad stats, right? If we go from the previous candle, it's 15%. That's what the last previous high was in terms of the uptrend that we're seeing. We're looking at an 11% gain at the moment in terms of where this candle, this 4 hour candle topped out at. And in terms of where we are now, we're looking at a 5%, right? We're looking at just under 5, just above 5%, just under 6%, right? That's what we're looking at for Doge in terms of percentage of buying power. Now, right now, in terms of the MACD for Doge right now, we are seeing this horizontal resistance point on the top side of this MACD, right? On the top side of this MACD, we are seeing this horizontal resistance point continuously, right? We could be seeing some sort of trend cycle coming through like this. So if we are going to see a switch in the price, we are going to see some sort of resistance being created around this 0.1213 mark, right? But with that being said, we are looking at another trend line being formed on the MACD here in terms of this downward cycle, right? In terms of this downward cycle. So that initiates, obviously we are still in a downtrend, but obviously we are coming up in terms of price action, right? We are coming up in terms of price action, so that could indicate that we are due a bullish crossover on the MACD, right? If we do have a bullish crossover on the MACD, we are going to see an uptrend forming, right? If we do see an uptrend forming, and we're potentially going to see some resistance at around this point here, it basically means we're not going to see an insane surge in the price as we have seen recently, right? As we have seen recently in these gains that we've got going on here. I need to make this smaller. Yeah, in terms of the gains that we've got going on here, I don't think we're going to be seeing these surges anytime soon, but because obviously we've got this resistance point on this on the MACD here, probably setting a lower high there. Definitely things to think about when trading Doge in terms of swing trade on the midterm. In terms of the short term for Doge, we are going to be looking at something along the lines of this. Yeah, pretty symmetrical triangle forming, right? Symmetrical triangle forming at this point. If we do something along the lines of this nice and quickly for Doge. Try to cover a load of coins today. Nice and quickly for Doge. Symmetrical triangle. If we're looking at breaking the top side of the symmetrical triangle, we need to get through this resistance point at 0.37. So I'd say that is probably the next target. But as you can see on the short term, we have just lost the 21 moving average here. And that could indicate that we are going to see the price surge to the downside. And we are going to see a 33-cent target for Doge there. 33-cent target for Doge there. And guys, if you're liking the stream here, smash that like button up, please. It helps me out tremendously. Turn that thumbs up blue. If you wanna be on with me every morning, click that subscribe button. And I trade from I stream my trading from Monday to Friday every morning for around an hour or so, hour 2 hours, and then I do an altcoin video for lunchtime or a potential emergency update depending on obviously what's happening in the markets. And yeah, so if you don't want to miss any of that, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. You're never going to miss one of my uploads. In terms of a measure move up from this symmetrical triangle for Doge for the short term, right, we could be looking at a surge in the price, and that would basically bring us up into correlation with the 200 moving average that's coming down here, right, and that is around 44 cents, right? 44 cents. But obviously you do have to think we do have this 55 moving average coming in here, and you can see the resistance that we find off that. You can see the resistance we find off that. So if we are going to come up and break the top side of this symmetrical triangle, we are going to see probably a rejection coming off this 55 and then coming down and testing this level of support at around 37 cents there. So that's obviously on the predication that we break to the upside for Doge. And in terms of a measure move, if we're looking at a trade for that trade, it's going to be a nice 18% there. It's going to be a nice 18% surge to the upside. Obviously managing your positions in terms of the supports and resistances that we have plotted out on the chart, right? As I said before, we could search to the downside. The absolute low that I can see happening here is this volume-weighted ATR band. If we are to lose that volume-weighted ATR band, which, as you can see, it's pretty highly unlikely. It's only when we see an extreme sell-off, right? If we see extreme sell-off, we are going to lose it, right? If we lose it, we usually, 90% of the time, we reclaim it, right? As you can see here, we do find a nice level of support on this volume-weighted ATR band, and that's why I am saying it could be a potential low for us here. It could be we could see a potential fake out for Doge here in terms of breaking this symmetrical triangle. If we are going to break this symmetrical triangle, we're likely to bounce off this volume-weighted ATR band and probably reclaim the symmetrical triangle and then look for some sort of measure move to the upside from there, right? Things to think about when trading Doge on the short term. This is the hourly time frame, not the 15-minute, right? I think that's kind of covered it for Doge. Gave you some potential trade opportunities there to think about yourselves from an educational standpoint, not financial advice. Now, if we go to Stellar, let's jump to Stellar. Obviously, we do have this huge price action channel coming down, which we are coming down to test this trend line. We're coming up to test this trend line, and we're currently finding support on this 21 moving average and the volume weighted ATR band as well, right? If we're finding a nice level of support on that, I can see us surging up to the upside and testing the lower side of this price action channel, potentially reclaiming it. If we're going to reclaim it, we've got to get through the resistance of this 55. As you can see, we do have a lot of downward pressure from the 55 green moving average there. If we see a lot of downward pressure from there, we're likely to see another test of this trend line here down at 50 cent. But if we are to break it, if we are to find support, the next level of resistance that we're going to be testing here is around 57 cents there. 57 cents for Stellar. If you were to get in yesterday, you would have got an insane price for Stellar, right? And that would have been around 28 cents if you would have bought the bottom. Congratulations to those that did. But it's crucial at this point in time for Stellar that we find support, a nice level of support on this volume weighted ATR band to surge us up to the upside, right? That's the ideal scenario. We are in an uptrend on the MACD here. As you can see, we are in an uptrend on the MACD here, but we do have a lot of resistance points coming down, a lot of resistance moving averages coming down, which obviously have a lot of momentum to the downside, right? They have a lot of momentum to the downside, so we do need to think about that when we're coming up to test them again, right? Right now on the RSI, Right now on the RSI, we're not overbought, we're not oversold. It's looking good. We do have a dominant trend line coming down from here, but it does look like we're on the line to break it, right? We're on the line to break it. Potentially, we might have broken it. We need to take that into account because that could be what we're seeing in terms of a level of support on this volume-weighted ATR band and this 21 moving average that we've got here, right? Definitely things to think about because if we have broken it and we are going to find support on it, we are looking like a surge to the upside in terms of buying power and in terms of price action, correlating perfectly with that 55 moving average as well, right? I have sped it up on the stream, guys, in terms of my voice. Is it going better if I'm talking faster? Are you guys enjoying it more? Let me know in the comments. And also, if you're liking the stream, hit that like button as well. In terms of Stellar itself, it's looking the sort of same kind of pattern for most charts, right? We do have that symmetrical triangle playing out. As you can see, I'm not gonna start drawing it again, but this symmetrical triangle playing out again, which we are looking at breaking at this point. And if we're looking at breaking at this point, there's a potential trade here, right? There's a potential trade in terms of a measure move, right? In terms of measure move, if we can find a nice level of support. Actually, I'm liking the look of this a lot more now. I'm liking the look of this. I'm going to draw this in, right? I'm going to draw this in right now. I wasn't going to, but there's a potential really nice trade here to think about, right? Potential really nice trade. Let me bring this up, right? Let me bring this up. Just give me 2 seconds. Let me delete some of these lines, right? Let me see these trend lines, right? These trend lines are coming through, right? We are on the retest, and that's what I like. I like a nice retest of a trend line. I like a nice retest for an entry, and we're currently finding support. Well, not quite, but near enough finding support on this 21 moving average, right? Yeah, in terms of the symmetrical triangle that we've got going on here, it's pretty healthy, right? We've got touches on either side, so we're looking for a break to the upside. And in terms of a measure move for this trade, we would be looking at something along the lines of this, right? Something along the lines of this, which for me, I wouldn't be looking at completion of the measure move just because we do have this dominant 55 moving average coming down here. So I'd be looking at around a take profit around that point, not looking greedy in terms of percent right now. I'd be looking at a nice 12% gain there. But as you can see, we do need to monitor this because as you can see, the price is falling. We are losing the support that we had. We're losing the support that we had on this volume weighted ATR band here. As you can see, we're losing it, which is sad because that was a great trade opportunity. If we were to find some imminent support, I would have been looking at a nice long, right? A nice long, and that would have been up to this moving average here, and Aberdeen would have been near enough as we come up. This is potentially going to come down because we're going on the last 55 candles, right? And we do have a lot of downwards power, so it's still going to come down a bit before we go up, even though we are in this uptrend that we've got going on here. God, it's falling dramatically now. If we were to get in there, if we didn't wait, if you were impatient, you would have had probably a stop out because it's coming down literally directly in line with the moving average that we've got going on here. Yep, you would have potentially had a stop out there if you were to enter literally above on the 21 moving average there. In terms of percentages for a stop out, it wouldn't have been that much, but that's why we like to wait for the retest, because the retest could mean we are coming back in, right? It could mean we are coming back in, and that's why we need to manage our position accordingly, right? If we'd have got in straight as we came out of this symmetrical triangle, as I said, we've just come back in, right? We've come back in on the retest, so you would have got stopped out again, right? And this is why you need to do it like not properly, but manage your trades accordingly in terms of your entry position, right? And we would have got a better entry if we'd have got in. If we'd have got in on the retest before obviously we dumped. Obviously we need to manage the price action there. As you can see, we are claiming it to the downside, right? We're claiming it to the downside. So this is something to think about in terms of what could happen next, right? We could move this trend line up. And that basically puts us directly back in that symmetrical triangle, right? If we are to surge and lose the support, which we just have, if we are to find that resistance on this volume-weighted ATR band here, I can basically see us coming down and testing the bottom side of this symmetrical triangle down at 45 cents, right? If we are to break that to the downside, we could see some sort of measure move looking along the lines of this. In terms of a trade to the downside, obviously depending on where we're going to break in terms of price action here, we could be looking at something around 43 cents for Stellar. In terms of a percent for that trade there, it could be a 6% short to the downside. Definitely something to think about. And also we are looking like we're going to lose this buying power on Stellar here. This dominant trend line that we've got going on here. If we lose that, then it's likely that we're going to come up, probably test it again, find a resistance from it, and probably see some sell-offs from there. And that's another indication that we are looking at this short position now. Definitely things to think about when trading Stellar, right? Definitely things to think about when trading Stellar. Now, right now, that's Stellar done, right? That's Stellar done on the short term. I have been streaming for an hour and 19 minutes now. But as I said before, guys, let me know what you think, right? Let me know in the comments if you watch this stream at a later date. If you're watching it live, let me know what you think. Whether it's better if I'm streaming, if I'm speaking really fast. It's better if I'm more chilled out. What do you guys think? Do you like the bit of comedy or a bit more personality involved in the stream? Let me know what's going on. Let me know what you prefer, just so I can take an insight, right? Because at this point in time, this is literally my 6th stream, right? It's my 6th stream, so I'm trying different things. Just want to know what kind of works best and what you guys prefer, right? What you guys prefer in terms of altcoins. Back to the altcoins. Enough about me. Let's go straight into. I fancy a bit of Solana. Obviously, straight away you can see it's exactly the same trend. Exactly the same trade pattern that we've got as Stellar going on here, right? Exactly the same sort of thing. Symmetrical triangle, right? Symmetrical triangles all over everywhere. Obviously, this isn't as good because we're going off the wicks here. We're not going off the direct candle close. But as you can see, it's pretty much the same thing on all the charts, right? Pretty much the same thing on most of these altcoins. So that could initiate some sort of insane amount of trades, right? Insane amount of profits being had if all these charts are going to play out the same, right? And that's obviously depending on what Bitcoin's going to do. And Bitcoin is it's dumped down a bit, actually. Let's switch back to Bitcoin, right? It's not found support on this price action channel, right? It's not found support on this price action channel on the short term for Bitcoin. We're looking at coming down and testing the 21 moving average at around 39K for Bitcoin, right? We are currently also testing testing a moving average, not a moving average, testing a trend line on the RSI as well, right? We could basically find support on that. If we find support on that, we could be looking at a surge of buying power to the upside. Definitely something to think about at this point in time because we are falling. We are falling. Deep sea diving, not quite deep sea trench diving as this was yesterday, but we're coming down, potentially seeing 39, potentially seeing 39.50 at this 21 moving average here. As you can see, if we can set a lower low here in terms of the lower high that we've got set here, if we can set a lower low, that's going to indicate that we're going to be coming down a bit further, right? And that's another indication that we are going to test this 21 moving average that we got going on here, right? That's a little summary on Bitcoin for the short term. For the midterm here, as you can see, we have just been rejected off this major trend line here for this broadening wedge. No, that's the broadening wedge to the other side. But this major trend line here that we've basically been finding support on continuously. And then we obviously tested it and found that insane amount of resistance. So it's definitely something to think about in terms of selling power to the downside, right? In terms of selling power to the downside, you do have quite a bit going on here in terms of a rejection, right? We are sat on the 10 moving average on the midterm for Bitcoin. We are sat on the 10 moving average, which if we can find support on, brilliant. We could see consolidation period around this trend line and this moving average that we got going on here. Probably some sideways stuff, potentially all day. We'll just have to see how we play out. But if we do find some support on this trend line that we've got here, this major trend line that we've got here, if we can find some support on that, we're looking at coming up, testing the volume weighted OTR band, testing the 21 moving average, and hopefully finding support on them. If we do, then the next point of resistance that we need to break is 43K. And as I said, on the long term here, we're looking for that 43K mark near enough on this bull market barrier. If we can get that, that's an indication all this price action before is terrible is terrible, and it's basically faking us out in terms of swapping us to a bear market, getting everyone trapped and getting everyone to sell off in sort of a panic sell, and that's sort of what we saw yesterday, right? But in terms of reclaiming that volume weighted ATR band on the midterm for Bitcoin at around around 41.7 there. If we can get some support on that, the next target is 43, and if we can do that, we could be looking at a nice switch back to the bull market. Come on, to the bull market. I'm just gonna have some water. I quite like the flow of this. It's going quite quicker. It's quite a lot quicker actually. Defeats a lot of my nerves, and I don't feel like I'm slipping up as much. But let me know how it's going, guys. Obviously, I am trying to improve it for you guys as much as possible. But let's get these altcoins going. Let's get this this TA going, right? This is Solana, right? In terms of Solana right now, we do have the symmetrical triangle playing out on all of the time frames, as we've seen on a lot of the altcoins, right? In terms of dominant RSI pattern that we've got going on here, we do have a higher high here, higher low here. We could potentially be seeing some sort of resistance point around 59. In terms of some sort of trend line right now, we could be seeing it around 59.60, right? So in terms of buying power, that could initiate some sort of measure move to the upside. oh, not like that. If we're looking at some sort of measure move to the upside in terms of a trade, right, we could be looking at something along the lines of this, right? Something along the lines of this. If we are to break this symmetrical triangle and surge to the upside, smashing through the 200 moving average and the 55, unlikely in my opinion. And if I am to get into this trade here, I would be looking at a take profit at the 55, probably 50% of my trade, and potentially another 50% at the 200 as well. Obviously, depending on the price action, if I was to come up to this, to nearly pointed at the screen, come to this 55 here, at around 8% at this point here, we would be looking at taking 50% profit here. And then if we see some swift rejection from that, we can always exit our position here, because that last 50% is still going to be in profit, right? It's still going to be in profit. Granted, it's not the full measure move, right? It's not the full measure move to the upside. It's literally not even half, right? That's 18%, right? It would be literally like a 5% gain for Solana there. So that's basically managing a position accordingly, depending on the price action of where your take profit is going to be, right? And if we are going to see a reversal in the price, we could see a lot of downwards momentum, as we've seen with the 55 continuously, right? As we've seen continuously with the 55, even here we come up, we test it, we dump straight back down in terms of percent. If you can see that on my screen, yeah, you can. In terms of percent, we are looking at literally like a 5% retracement there. So let's bring that over, right? Let's bring that over. That's going to bring us back to entry, right? It's going to bring us back to entry, bring us back to entry, right? So yeah, definitely some things to think about if this trade is going to be going live. At this point in time, I can't really see it going live because we have just broke through this level of support at around $40 there, around $40. We are losing that level of support at this point in time, which is initiating basically a sign that we could be coming down and testing this level of support at 38.2, right? 38.26 is the next level of support which we're looking for. If we break this, if we close this candle below it, we're looking at coming down from there, testing the support at 38 and testing the lower side of this symmetrical triangle here. Things to think about when trading Lady Solana, when trading Solana, right? But yeah, definitely keep your eyes on that for potential trade there. As a lot of the altcoins at the moment, there is a lot of symmetrical triangles, so be careful because it could be one huge trap there. Just gonna have some H2O. In terms of other coins that we could be doing here, let me have a little look here. Cake. Let's do a bit of cake, a bit of pancake swap. Yeah, a bit of pancake swap, right? The lowest point I can see happening is this level of support right now at $14.06. But as you can see, from this insane dumps yesterday, we're seeing a few corrections, but we're seeing like higher lows. We're seeing higher lows forming here continuously. Like, we're not seeing what we want to be seeing in terms of upwards buying pressure, in terms of setting these higher highs, in terms of price action here. So at this point in time, it's not looking good for Cake, in my opinion, on the short term. In terms of the long term right now, it's still not looking any better because we broke this price channel to the downside here. We are finding support on this level here. I think this is my monthly pivot point on this indicator, but we are finding support here at around $15, right? That was obviously that surge towards the downside yesterday. In terms of the midterm right now, we did just get swift rejection from this resistance point at $19 there, so we could be looking at coming down and testing the level of support of 15. Things to think about in terms of Cake. In terms of the lemon drizzle, right? In terms of the lemon drizzle cake, right? We are nearly oversold, right? We're nearly oversold, so that indicates basically a rejection from this monthly pivot point on the chart here. Initiates a rejection in terms of upwards buying power once we get oversold on the RSI, so that's something to think about as well. Potentially a long position all the way back up to the level of support at 18. But obviously be wary because we do wick down quite a bit in terms of these downtrends for Cake, right? In terms of that's the RSI. In terms of the MACD for the 4 hour we've got going on here, we have set lower lows. We have set lower lows in terms of the downward cycle, right? In terms of the downward cycle, we're miles away from a bullish crossover as well. So we could see this going a heck of a lot lower than that. We could see it be going basically a heck of a lot lower, right? We could be seeing it going a heck of a lot lower, creating a new sort of cycle for the MACD. And basically creating more downward selling power in terms of the new trends that we're going to be having, right? In terms of the new trends that we're going to be having, if we could see a really big lower low in terms of the downtrend on the MACD here, we could just be seeing the price basically trickle down with it. We could see it trickle down with it because these aren't going to be small selling patterns, right? These are not going to be small selling patterns. So we could be seeing something like that. And that'll basically just create lower lows continuously on the chart. And we could be seeing pancake swap just falling, right? Pancake swap just falling. And to be honest, I can see why. I can see right. Oh no, this is Pancake, yeah, this is pancake, right? Thought it was a bake for a second. I did do a video on bake, right? A few days last week, I think it was. So yeah, go check that out. Potentially altcoin gem right there. But yeah, in terms of lower lows for Pancake Swap right now, I can basically see why this is happening, right? Because there's a lot of uncertainty in crypto right now because it's obviously dumping. We are entering this sort of we are dumping on Bitcoin right now. We're dumping down to 39,000, right? 39,000 all the way up from 40k there. So that's like literally $1,000 drop, right? But in terms of what's happening for Cake right now, Pancake Swap's obviously an exchange. It's obviously you can liquidity pool it and all of that yield farming stuff, all that good stuff there. So if there's a lot of uncertainty in crypto right now, people are not going to be wanting to stake their money. They're not going to be wanting to stake their money in crypto that's going down, right? The only thing that's really stable at the moment is like Tether and those stable coins, right? But the percent on them is just awful. So a lot of people would be going, right, I'm taking my money out of Pancake Swap. I'm taking it out of Cake. I'm not earning that Cake from the staking. And that's why Cake's falling, right? That's why Cake's falling, continuing down, right? In terms of the future, I think in terms of earning interest on your money, I think this is an insane investment, right? It's an insane investment, and I am pretty bullish on yield farming itself because when that goes mainstream, it's gonna be insane, right? Insane surges to the upside for Pancake Swap and for these exchanges. And I did explain that on my video. My bake video, which was released last week, right? Yeah, nearly an hour and a half in, so we are slipping up on the stream a little bit here, right? But yeah, in terms of Cake right now, I think we are going to come lower just because of those fundamentals of people pulling their money out of Pancake Swap, just because of what's happening with crypto right now. Also, guys, if you're liking the stream, hit that thumbs up, helps me out tremendously. Turn that thumbs up blue. And if you want to see my stream every single morning, I stream from Monday to Friday for around an hour and a half, 2 hours every single morning. And you can basically trade with me. I give you my insight on all the charts. I give you my short term on Bitcoin, the mid term on Bitcoin, and the long term on Bitcoin. And look, we've just dumped down to around 38,870 there. And yeah, hit that notification bell, and if you're never going to miss one of my uploads, I also do emergency updates if we are seeing insane surges to the downside in prices in terms of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other altcoins as well, to keep you guys updated. And also, I do some alt gem videos as well. Yeah, some alt gem videos as well, because I do the research so you guys don't have to, so we can basically get in early. Well, so obviously it's not financial advice, so stuff that I'm going to be adding to my portfolio, and then you guys can do your own research and take that into account. And basically I'm going for those 3,000 percenters, right? Those 3,000% gains, because that's what we want. We want to get that money. We want to get that money. But yeah, straight back to altcoins, right? Rambling on for a bit there. This is Cake. I think it's going to go down lower than that. 4-hour time frame. I wouldn't be investing in Cake anytime soon, obviously on the fundamentals of everyone pulling out due to crypto uncertainty. Let's jump to LTC Litecoin, baby. As you can see, we do have this falling wedge on Litecoin that we had going on yesterday, right? We had this falling wedge going on yesterday, and then obviously we saw the colossal dump to the downside. We actually did see a lowest point of 146 for Litecoin, right? God, that has gone down a hell of a lot considering we were trading at the all-time high of around 408 there. Insane dumpage for Litecoin, right? Insane dumpage for Litecoin at this point in time. We are testing this volume weighted ATR band on the upside, right? If we can find some support on that, we are looking at going up from there. And let me just bring up some previous history on this volume weighted ATR band here. As you can see, we do find support on it. When we find support on it, we have that momentum to the upside, right? We have that momentum to the upside. And also, if we do, just like here as well, if we do lose it, as we have done with this insane dump, right? We ride along it, and then we reclaim it, right? So at this point in time, the live price action that I can see, at this point, let's go back, yeah. Got to be a quicker way. Maybe it's a double click or something. But yeah, as you can see, we have come up, we have reclaimed it. If we can find some support on it, we are looking at a next target of resistance at around $222 for Litecoin there, and then another target of resistance to break and find support on at 227. So that basically indicates I can see us basically, if we are going to find some support on this volume weighted ATR band, a consolidation period here, because we're going to have the support of the volume weighted ATR band, and we're going to have the resistance points that are pretty dominant here, right? Pretty dominant resistance points that, as you can see, if we do find support on them, we are going to see some surge of buying power to the upside, right? Some surge of buying power to the upside. So that's definitely something to think about with Litecoin right now, because if we are going to see some support formed on them, on the off chance that we have insane buying power, we find support on the volume ATR band, we break these levels of resistance, we then come up, we test the lower side of this giant price channel that we've got going on, that we have been in since February, I do believe. If we do find some support on them, we are going to see some surge of buying power, and that's just going to create an insane surge for Litecoin because of all these support points. And as you can see, the momentum that we have off these support points, right? Insane stuff going on there for Litecoin, right? In terms of the RSI for Litecoin, we did get seriously oversold yesterday as predicted, just because obviously of Bitcoin doing its mad sell-off, and it's obviously driving the price, and altcoins obviously shut it out with it, right? What I can see happening today is hopefully we can find some support on this volume weighted ATR and come back central on the RSI, which will indicate basically a lot of chilled out in the market, a lot of sideways period, and that could basically mean this consolidation period is confirmed again, right? Is confirmed again. In terms of the MACD for Litecoin right now, we have just seen a lower low. That is potentially a new trend cycle that we need to think about. We are miles away from a bullish crossover before that switch over again on the midterm for Litecoin here. We did see the top side of this trend basically fizzle out here. It's fizzling out, and basically means if we are going to see a crossover, a bullish crossover on the MACD here, I can't really see us doing a lot unless we're going to break it and set a new trend, set a new higher height of something to go off in the future, right? So if we are going to break it, we do need to manage that. We do need to manage that in terms of price action because that could mean that we are going to surge past and find support on these horizontal resistance lines. If we're not going to break it, we need to think about literally some fizzle out uptrend like that. It's going to be pathetic, right? It's going to be flaccid. It's going to be pathetic, and that could mean the consolidation period yet again, as I was just speaking about. But in terms of downtrend right now, we are in a downtrend. We have just set a lower low, so we could be going lower than this, right? And that could basically mean we are going to find a level of resistance from this volume weighted ATR band, which could essentially push us down, right? It could push us down to the level of support of 171, and that would basically create an insane lower low to go off in terms of future trends, for Litecoin, which we need to think about, because that could indicate basically a surge down to the downside, creating lower lows continuously, right? And that's not good, right? That's not good for anyone who is hodling or trading Litecoin in that sense, right? That's kind of Litecoin done for the midterm. In terms of the short term, let me just predict it. We're going to have a symmetrical triangle, right? It's happening on all the altcoins. Oh, would you look at that, symmetrical triangle? Yeah, so that's a potential trade position if you are looking at that. It's happening on a lot of the altcoins, so it is potentially going to be trappy, and it is going to, in my opinion, I think it's probably going to throw them all over the place, right? I didn't mean to do that, but it is potentially going to throw them all over the place, right? And that is basically something to think about and something to manage, because if you get trapped in one of these trades and they throw the price down even more, if you're in a long, you're going to get absolutely slaughtered, right? You're going to get absolutely slaughtered. And we're here to make gains, not losses, right? Just going to have some H2O. Oh, lovely. And if you are enjoying the stream, smash that like button up. Helps me out tremendously, right? Obviously, I'm a new guy on the block. This is only my 6th stream, right? It is my 6th stream, so I'm trying to improve. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you want to do it live. Let me know after the stream. That'd be brilliant. Yeah, that'd be brilliant indeed. Obviously, we do have a symmetrical triangle here as well. In terms of a measure move up to the upside, if we can find support on this trend line that we've got going on here, we are going to be looking at a gain of around, obviously depending on where we're going to break along this trend line here, a gain of around 18%, right? Definitely something to think about when trading Litecoin on the short term here, if we're looking for that break to the upside. But with that being said, we do have this volume weighted ATR band coming here, so we do need to think about coming down and testing that pretty sharpishly. We could ride along it, we could find some support on it and bang it, right? We could bang it to the upside, right? As you can see, we do continuously find support, and the volume weighted ATR band is this green line that we've got going on here, right? We do continuously find support on it, and we do have some surges to the upside from there. So that's an indication that we could be surging to the upside on the short term for Litecoin. But as I said, on the midterm for Litecoin, the trends are not looking that great in terms of strength, right? In terms of strength, and the RSI, it's pretty central. Pretty central right now, which indicates sort of a sideways period, and we could literally become oversold soon. If we become oversold and we see some surge down to the downside on the RSI, we could be looking at seeing the bottom side of this symmetrical triangle. And if we are being really seriously unlucky, right, and we see a breakdown to the downside, we're potentially, I don't think we're going to see a lower low right away, but in terms of a measure move to the downside, if you're looking at a trade to come down, obviously depending on where we're going to break, I don't think we're going to come down straight away, but I think we'll probably break further up here, right? And that is an indication that we're going to come down and break from this point here and basically test this level of support. And that, in terms of a trade, right? In terms of a trade, that's quite nice. We've got no moving averages stopping us to the downside. We've got this level of support, which we're going to be going on for a take profit. And that is a nice 10% trade for Litecoin on the short term, right? Definitely things to think about in terms of trading Litecoin right now. I'm done with Litecoin. Let's jump to another coin. Let's jump to another coin around. Let's do a little touch on Matic again, right? Matic again, because everyone's saying some mad things, and there's a lot of buying power to the upside for Matic right now. And there always has been, right? Well, there has been for the last week or so, right? We have seen insane surges. Obviously, this is the hourly time frame, and on the long term, we are in this giant rising price channel to think about. But yeah, at this point in time, we have seen some insane surges, like that recovery yesterday from that dump. Yeah, that recovery from that dump yesterday was 120%, right? If you'd have gotten at that bottom, you'd have made some serious gains, right? Some serious gains. Personally, for me, it was far too volatile to trade, and I didn't want to risk my portfolio on literally a FOMO FUD market, right? And a panic selling of everyone. Sod that, in my opinion, right? At this point in time for Matic, the next level of support that we are looking at touching is 1.86, right? 1.86 is the next level of support. We are looking at testing this 55 moving average, which is this green one coming through here, and we are looking at finding support right now on this 21 moving average. So that's indication that we are consolidating at this point with Matic. Let's bring up the 15-minute because we could see some sort of trade pattern here. Like we do see some sort of descending triangle right now, very small indeed, but we are seeing a little tiny descending triangle, and that basically means if it's descending, right, we're looking at a break to the upside, right? Descending, we're going to break to the ascending, right? We're going to break to the upside. So in terms of a measurement for that, we could be looking at something along the lines of this. In terms of this is scalping, right? This is in terms of scalp. I'm not a scalper myself, but in terms of scalping for you guys, I'd like to give a little insight. And also looking back on those smaller time frames does indicate where the price is going to go sometimes for the long term, right? In terms of testing levels of support and breaking levels of resistance that we have here, right? So if we're going to see a surge in price, we could see a potential test of this level of resistance here at around $2.08. Now, switching back to the midterm, right? $2.08, that puts us over the 55 moving average, right? If we can get a nice hourly close over the 55 moving average here, we're going to be looking at coming up, right? We're going to be looking at coming up from there. And that's why I sometimes drop down to the 15-minute and get a nice little insight. I'm not one to trade it because in terms of percentages, it's not that great, and I prefer those swings, right? I prefer those swings. Oh, it's a 5% trade, like it's not too bad, right? But I prefer those 20, 30%ers in terms of the long-term trades, right? But it's always good to look back and see if you can get some sort of price indication from there. That's kind of Matic right now. If we're looking at coming up and seeing a massive surge in price, we are going to be seeing the RSI becoming overextended. But at this point in time on the midterm, we are looking pretty central right now. So it could go either way. We could get rejected off this 55 and this 21 here, come down to this 200 moving average at $1.67. As we saw yesterday, a lot of people probably thought that we were going to we were going to smash through here and can basically have that continuation up from this buying pressure that we've got here. But what actually happened, we saw a massive down surge in price, smashing through support points continuously. We actually broke the 200 moving average on the short-term time frame for Matic here, and basically we tested the lower side of this price channel. Yeah, rising price channel that we've got going on here, right? So yeah, definitely, I think Matic's pretty unpredictable at the moment, considering it was pretty predictable over the last few days in terms of buying power. But at this point in time, we could be seeing a surge down. If we are to see a surge down, we're going to be oversold on the MACD, and that's when we're not on the MACD, on the RSI here. We're going to be looking at basically some buying power from there. That could indicate that we're coming down to test the 200 moving average here and then buy up from there. As you can see, if we come down and buy up from there, we'd be basically back to central on the RSI, and we would be looking at coming up and testing these levels of resistance here at 185. This is obviously in the future, right? This is obviously in the future and could happen. Right now on the MACD, as you can see here, we are testing this horizontal level of support on the MACD here. We haven't quite set a higher high, but we are still in an uptrend, right? If we can clear this 55 and bang it up to the moon here, we are going to see another a higher high on the MACD, looking at a bigger price cycle, right? A bigger price cycle and a higher point to potentially respect in the future. In terms of an uptrend for Matic right now. So that could indicate if we are going to get there. We are fizzling out a little bit, as you can see here on this bit here, right? We are fizzling out a little bit, but if we do reclaim it, and see a surge on the MACD here in terms of a trend, we could see a surge and we could see us breaking the 55 and testing the top side of this rising price channel here. In terms of what's happening on the MACD and in the downtrends here, we do see a lower low here and then a lower high being set. It is very close, near enough horizontal, but not quite there. We do see a lower low here and a lower high here. So in terms of like a trend line for that, we could be looking at something along the lines of this. So next time we do see, this is an indication that next time we do see a a bearish crossover on the MACD, we could be looking at quite a big trend to the downside, right? And that basically indicates we could fizzle out here, lose the support of the 55, which we have kind of done already, lose the support of the 21 that we're looking at here, so it's quite hard to see, lose the support of this 21 that we've got going here, lose the horizontal support at 186, and come down to around $1.65. Obviously, that's the next level of support on the 200 moving average. If we lose that, we could be looking at testing the bottom side of this rising price channel at around $1.47. But I can't see us coming down that low because then we'd have to break this resistance point and set a lower low for the MACD. And I see us basically respecting it for now, right? For now. So it's definitely something to think about when trading when trading Matic at this point in time. Yeah. Basically something to think about. Look at those 55s. Look at the 21. If we're going to break it, we're going to see a surge, right? If we're going to break it, we're going to see a surge. That's kind of me done with Matic for now. Let me jump to another coin. Let me just go on the predication that we actually jump up to the top side and we test this moving average this trend line that we've got going here, and we see basically a surge to the upside. If we can see a surge to the upside in terms of a trend, I'd be waiting until we clear this all-time high and then basically getting in, potentially testing the all-time high again, and that'd be a nice 24% swing to the upside right there. And then in terms of setting a new all-time high, we would have to manage that accordingly, because if we were to see a reversal in the price and lower highs being set, we would need to basically exit our trade, because as you can see, we saw that basically happen here. Higher high being set, lower high being set, reversal in the trend, right? And if that's to happen, we're going to see potentially even a stop out coming back down into the price channel there. So definitely not fundamentals to think about, but signs to think about in terms of opening a position in long, right? In terms of opening position in short for Matic right now, I can't see us actually dumping down in terms of completing this measure move, right? Because we would see insane lower lows for Matic, and we would be breaking this volume weighted ATR band. As you can see, we did even respect that yesterday when we dumped significantly, right? So if we are going to break down short, and we are going to potentially set a lower low, I can't see it happening. But if we are, let's go on the predication that we are. We're probably not going to come down straight away. We're probably going to trickle down like so, break it around this point, and then we're going to test this level of support here at 120, right? And then the lowest low point I can see is this volume weighted ATR band here, and that at that point it'll probably be around $1, but I can't see us getting there for Matic, let's be honest. Polygon and Matic, like, they're merging together, I think, and they're doing some really, really good stuff there, right? And as you can see, that has had an effect on the price recently in Matic itself, right? Now, has anyone got any suggestions for any coins? Also, guys, if you're liking the stream, smash up that like button. Helps me tremendously. And I stream Monday to Friday every morning for around an hour or so. So yeah, if you want to hit that subscribe button, never miss one of my streams. I also do some alt-gen videos as well. I primarily like to do short-term, mid-term, and long-term of Bitcoin. Actually, we did actually test this 10 moving average on Bitcoin and did actually get down to 38,700. So that's definitely something to think about in terms of a position for Bitcoin. Because obviously we do have a lot of buying power to the upside, right? But yeah, if you never want to miss one of my uploads, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you'll basically see when I go live every morning, and we can trade together. You can suggest your coins, I could do a TA for you, and if you're not a very experienced trader yourself, you can learn from me, right? I like teaching people. I like the educational side of trading as well as making that dollar bill, yo. So yeah, let's do a summary on Bitcoin, right? Let's do a summary on Bitcoin right now. As you can see, let's zoom out on the short term for Bitcoin right now. We have reclaimed this price channel, right? After seeing a $30,000 Bitcoin yesterday, which is pretty spectacular in terms of panic selling power, right? At this point in time, we are testing. We've come down. We found support on the 21, right? We found support on the 21. We found support on the 10 moving average here. We're currently testing the price action channel, which obviously, as you can see, we did previously find support on. And the price action channel that we've got going on here, it is basically made up of all the moving averages. We've thrown them all into one in an indicator, and it works really well, right? It works really well. We find a nice level of support on there, or resistance, right? If we're below it, we are red. That signals we're in a downtrend. If we are above it, we are blue. That signals we're in an uptrend, right? As you can see here, continuous uptrend. We break to the downside, blah, blah, blah. Downtrend, right? Very good indicator there, courtesy of Bitcoin Beats. Check him out on YouTube. My brother, actually. Crazy. But yeah, so at this point in time, price action for the short term for Bitcoin, we are in this falling channel, as you can see here. Likelihood of what's going to happen here in terms of what's happened on the RSI, we are looking to come down and test this resistance point, right? We're looking at to come down, test this resistance point, so we do need a bit of selling power to do that. If we do get support on that, this support point here, if we do get some support on this support point here, in terms of this trend line, we are looking at a surge to the upside, and that would basically indicate that we're going to test this 55 moving average here. We're going to test this 55 moving average here, and hopefully we can get a break. If we do get a break to the upside and find support on this moving average, we are going to be looking at testing the next level at around 42k, right? Around 42k. which is ideal in terms of a recovery after yesterday, right? In terms of recovery after yesterday, a $30,000 Bitcoin, we are looking at that surge to the upside. We're looking at that buying power. We are looking at a $42,000 Bitcoin. Please, we're looking at that for all of our portfolios. Like we need that, right? In terms of what's happening on the MACD right now, we have seen a higher high on the MACD, potentially setting a new trend cycle for Bitcoin, right? And that could look something like so. Obviously, we are still in this uptrend here. We are still in this uptrend. So we need to basically take into account this could go higher than that if we see a surge up and we find support, right? If we find support, we're going to be setting an insane higher high on the MACD there. And that basically means the next lot of trends, let's go on the predication that we do actually set an insane higher high there. The next level of trends that we're going to get, they're not going to be small uptrends, right? They're not going to be little fizzled out, flaccid things like these, right? We're going to see some nice big ones respecting this trend line. Hopefully that's going to be set by this higher high that we've got going on here, right? Definitely something to think about if we are going to clear this 55 and if we are going to test this top side of this channel, right? This is obviously the short term for Bitcoin. Definitely something to think about. We are still in an uptrend. We're nowhere near a bearish crossover. And if we are going to see a bearish crossover, I can see us testing this 55 and consolidating around it and basically giving time for these 2 points to basically cross over on the MACD, right? Just catch my breath quickly. Yeah, and if turns of we have some insane buying power to the upside in terms of a measure move for this price channel that we've got going on here. Obviously, this is all speculation, and we need some buying power, right? We need some buying power for this to even happen. In terms of a measure move for a trade that we're looking for Bitcoin right now on the short term, we could be looking at a nice 9% gain. But obviously, we do have this 200 moving average to think about, and we obviously probably are going to find some resistance on that. As you can see, we do have a lot of downwards pressure from that, obviously, where all the moving averages called up before. But as you can see here, we do find support on this 200 moving average quite a bit, right? We do find support on this 200 moving average quite a bit. So that's something to think about, right? We are going to see some sort of consolidation period here. If this moving average is to come down here, right, while we're in this trade, I'm not going to be looking at staying in my trade. I'm going to be looking at getting out, not being greedy, taking that profit. Because if you are to get a rejection, you might even see a stop out, right? And we don't want to be doing that. We want to be managing our position accordingly as it's going, right? As it's going, managing it accordingly. But in terms of a measurement for that, we did just do a percent for that, right? Yeah, say this moving average basically comes down, we could be looking at a nice 5% gain for Bitcoin. But obviously, we do have this horizontal level of resistance to break through as well at 42. Now, bringing me to the midterm for Bitcoin. The midterm for Bitcoin right now, we do have this broadening wedge, this giant broadening wedge. Let me get up on the screen. This giant broadening wedge. And for me personally, I don't like broadening wedges. I actually hate them myself, especially for crypto, right? We do have this giant broadening wedge, and we do have touches on the bottom side and the top side, right? I hate to say it's a healthy broadening wedge, and it's likely for us to come up, consolidate, and come up and test the top side of this broadening wedge here, and that is around 55k, right? It's not going to be imminent. It's going to be over the next week, 2 weeks or so, right? And we do need to see an insane amount of buying power for that to happen with Bitcoin. And at this point in time, after yesterday, confidence in terms of buying power for Bitcoin, it's not very strong right now. It's not very strong right now because of obviously this massive panic sell-off. So obviously the big guys are not going to be investing like billions of dollars into Bitcoin right now, because obviously if they see some sell-off like this, they're going to lose absolutely millions and billions, right? Silly money. But at this point in time on the midterm, we're testing this pretty dominant trend line to the downside. As you can see here, we are in a bit of a called up zone in terms of being stuck in terms of price action right now. We're stuck between the 10 moving average and this pretty dominant trend line. If we can come up and find support, right? If we come up and find support on this trend line here, we're looking at coming up to test this volume weighted ATR band, to test this 10 moving average here. If we can test that, not get enough resistance from that, or potentially find a bit of resistance, potentially test it again in the future in a day or so, and then break it. If we can break it to the upside, that's going to be ideal. That's going to be ideal scenario for Bitcoin, right? Because the next level of resistance is at 42,800, right? 42,800. I am going to jump to the long term of Bitcoin in a second, because that actually correlates perfectly with the bull market barrier and whether we're going to be switching into a bear market or a bull market, basically in a sense of target. But let me just show you the volume weighted ATR band, and that is this green line here, right? You can see the support that we find on it. We can see the support that we find on it, or we ride along it. See, it's very, very good to use in terms of a tool, right? If we do lose it, we do trend below it or above it. As you can see here, this other volume weighted ATR band is this red line here. So if you follow that down, we actually pumped above it here, right? We pumped above it here, and then we basically rode it, we tested it, we rode it, we tested it all the way up, and then we finally broke it, and then we basically found it as resistance, right? And likewise here, it's an uptrend if we're above it, it's a downtrend if we're below it. And at this point in time, we are currently below it. But as I just said, we do always come back and test it. So it's likely for us to break through this trend line that we've got going on here and test this volume weighted ATR band. It's likely for that to happen, right? And guys, if you're liking the stream, smash that like button, turn that thumbs up blue, helps me out tremendously. If you never want to miss one of my streams, I'm going live every day from Monday to Friday, so you can trade with me every single morning. I start around 8:30 to 9 in the morning, and I stream for around an hour or two or so. So hit that notification bell, hit that subscribe button, you'll never miss one of my uploads. I also do alt gen videos as well, so potential really insanely early positions for companies, industries in a sense, adopting blockchain technology. And if we can get in early, we're going to make some serious gains. I'm aiming for those 3,000% gains, some sort of stuff like that, right? But yeah, back to let's jump to the long term. Bit of summary on long term for Bitcoin right now. As you can see, we do have this bull market barrier. This bull market barrier, for you guys that don't know, is an indicator that I use. And as you can see here, if we're blue, we're in a bull market. Back from October, right? If we're blue, we're in a bull market. If we are red, we're in a bear market. If we are yellow, we're uncertain. We're uncertain. We're uncertain of where we are, right? This is a sideways period where we're currently deciding. As you can see, recently with the price, we have dumped below the bull market barrier, seen the uncertainty, what's happened here, and now we switch to a bear market, right? We switch to a bear market, but it's not the end of the world because we could be faking it. It could be faking it, right? If it's faking it, then we are looking to come up and test this 42,500 zone. If we can get over that and see a $43,000 Bitcoin and find support on this bull market barrier, if we can find support on this bull market barrier here, we're looking at coming up and surging up from there. And this basically was just a massive shakeout of all the people that don't really know what they're doing in crypto, right? Because a lot of people are getting involved just because they can make quick money. We see it trending on social media near enough every day at this point, right? And this is why the whales would have done this. They would have done this, got everyone to panic, and this obviously caused this massive panic sell. And that basically is why we got to around 30k Bitcoin, right? Let me jump back to the previous bull market that we were in, right? Back in 2017, 2018, right? As you can see here, when we topped out at 19,600, we topped out there, and then we basically came down from there. As you can see on this bull market barrier, we did see the uncertainty here, right? We saw the uncertainty here, and then we basically broke to the downside. And that basically meant we switched to a bear market, right? As I just said, if it goes red, we switch to a bear market, right? As you can see here, the price action from that low after we switched went all the way up, near enough 100% basically retracement to the upside, right? So you have to think about that happened, right? That happened in the last run. So let's switch back to the run that we're currently in, right? Let's switch back to the current run that we're currently in, because at this point, obviously, we did see an insane amount of buying power yesterday, right? Insane amount of buying power to the upside. Now, if we get that to 100%, near enough, 99, right? We're looking at reclaiming the bull market barrier, reclaiming it completely, and that could basically initiate. Because obviously, look, we do find support on it. That could initiate that we're going to continue our bull run. Whoop, whoop, whoop. We're going to continue our bull run to the upside, right? It's going to be lovely if that is to happen, right? But we do need to also take into account, right? We need to take into account if we are to come back up and we are faking, if we are faking this, basically this buy up again, right? If all these orders to the upside, if we're faking it, right, and this 35% isn't going to hold, and we are going to see another surge to the downside, we're probably going to get rejected around this point, around 42,000, right? Definitely something to think about, right? Around that level, you want to be watching it like a goddamn hawk. Like a goddamn hawk, you want to be watching it, right? If we can find support on that, on the 43 level, ideal, right? I can see us going up from there. But if we can't, be prepared for another sort of sell-off. I don't think we're going to have a panic sell as big as this, but obviously this has caused a lot of scarcity in the market in terms of Bitcoin right now. Let me bring up the blue box zones for the long term of Bitcoin right now. As you can see, when we leave a blue box zone, we usually find support on it, right? As you can see, we did test it here. We found a nice amount of resistance and dumped below. So that obviously correlates perfectly with this point here. With this point here at around 44. If we can literally come up, claim the bull market barrier, get over 43, get over 44, and potentially I think to the upside we do have another level of this. I haven't got it on my chart. Another level of this around the blue box zones, upper zones. Yep, we do have another level of this here. It's quite a big indicator, so it needs quite a lot of time to load, right? Yeah, so here, as you can see here, 45,000, right? If we can get over 45,000, that could initiate a move up to the upside, and then the next target of resistance is around 53,000, right? And that'll basically clear us. It'll basically put us in the clear in terms of a bear market, and that's the ideal scenario for the long term for Bitcoin, right? The ideal scenario for the long term for Bitcoin. Right, let me just switch to some altcoins again. Switch back to some altcoins. If you've got any requests at all, for altcoins, throw them in the chat. We are nearly at 2 hours, so I am going to be leaving the stream at 2 hours. But yeah, I think I've done. I think I've kind of smashed the time frame today. I was only going to go for an hour, but I just kind of got carried away with it, and I'm liking it, right? I'm liking it. And obviously, let me know your thoughts on the stream. Whether obviously I've changed my tune a bit today, right? I've started to go a bit faster, start to go a bit quicker, kind of like a commentator, right? Start to go a bit quicker. Do you guys prefer that, or do you prefer the more chilled streamer? Like, let me know what you think in the comments, right? You don't have to do it on the live stream now, but just let me know in the comments what you think for the future streams, right? Because obviously I want to perform the best for you guys, right? Let's do a quick coin before we finish. Let's finish on. I want to finish on XMR, right? I do want to finish on XMR, right? Let's go to the daily for XMR. Obviously, this was an insane dumpathon, deep sea dive that happened through the massive sell-off in Bitcoin, right? But right now with XMR, we are testing this moving average, this 200 moving average right now. We're testing it. We're currently finding resistance from it, right? We're currently finding resistance around 240. We've just currently dropped around $3.50 around that point there. If we are to come up and find support, we're looking at, if we're finding support on this moving average here, this 200 moving average here, we're looking at the next point of resistance is around 282 there, right? 282 is the next point of resistance, and if we can find support on that, the next point of resistance and the next target for us is going to be around the 340 mark. But obviously, we do have this 55 moving average coming down as well, so we're probably going to test that if we come up, if we see some insane surge to the upside. It's not going to be overnight. It's going to be a gradual continuation up to the upside over the next few weeks if we don't go sideways, obviously due to the price and what Bitcoin's doing. Bitcoin is pumping right now. We're nearly back at 40K there. Definitely something to think about, right? Definitely something to think about because as I said on the 55, right, if we come up and test this 55 on the short term, we could be looking at a surge to the upside and basically breaking this horizontal horizontal resistance point at 42.5, right? And that basically falls in line with the bull market barrier and basically finding support on this volume weighted ATR band on the midterm. And if we find support on it here, we'd be looking at a nice long to the upside. And we've got all these fundamentals to show that we are going to go up from there. Fingers crossed, hey? Fingers crossed. Monero at this point in time. Right, let's jump down to the 4 hour. The 4 hour right now, as you can see, we did have this falling wedge. No, it's a descending triangle, right? We did have this descending triangle. That we did see, in a sense, play out to the downside, right? We did see it play out to the downside. Usually, if it's descending, it usually bumps to the upside, and that's why it probably trapped a few people out. And they probably thought this was a trap, but then obviously the massive sell-off happened. In terms of a measure move down for that trade, if you were to get into it, you would have been looking at a nice little. Actually falls perfectly with the volume weighted ATR band that's there, and obviously, as I said before, we do find respect from that. You'd have made a nice little 16% gain there if you'd have got into that. Very nice indeed. In terms of price action, what's happening right now for Monero on the midterm, we've just set kind of a lower high. We've set a lower high in terms of price action right now, and the next level of support that we'd be looking at to come down, if we are going to come down, because that obviously indicates a reversal in the trend, it would be around 211, right? 211 would be the next target of support, and we could be looking at basically coming down, finding a bounce off there, right? Makes me want to bring up the RSI. I bring up the RSI. Look, we're massively oversold, and that's where this buying power has come from. That's where this buying power has come from on the chart here. And we're seeing that bit of a switch around right now. We're seeing that bit of a switch around. So it's definitely something to consider, because obviously right now I can't see us getting more oversold than that. And if we are going to get more oversold than that, we probably won't actually. We'll probably find some sort of resistance around this point if we are going to get oversold, and then have some sort of buyout from there. And that basically indicates that we could come down, test this level at around 210, find support on it there. If not, break that, probably test it again, find the resistance, and then basically try and find support on 188. At this moment, I'm still bullish on Monero, right? I do believe in Monero. I bought Monero when it was literally like $100 or $80 or something stupid. It was so low. I read a news article, because obviously Bitcoin was first pretty much established on the dark web, right? And I actually read a news article that Monero was the next coin on the dark web. So I was like, right, okay, let me buy this up. Let me buy this up. So I bought it down at nothing, or near enough, like $80 to $100. And I think I sold around $400, something like that, right? Because I saw an all-time high there, and I was like, yeah, absolutely amazing. Great little trade there for myself. Made a great percent on that. But yeah, at the terms of right now, where I think we could go in terms of surging to the upside, I do think we are inclined to come up and test this volume weighted ATR band at 293, right? As I've said before, on a lot of these coins, we primarily find respect on this volume weighted ATR band, whether it's the top side or it's the bottom side, right? As you can see here. And if we lose it on the top side, we usually trend above it, and we come back down into it. We always come back down into it, right? This is primarily works on the 4-hour. This indicator will be available for rent when I'm obviously streaming a lot more confident streamer, and I've got everything sort of sorted out. But I'm not quite there yet. Obviously, I'm only 6 days into streaming, so I'm more trying to improve my streaming ability before I start leasing out indicators and do all that good stuff there, right? I primarily just love educating and teaching traders, right? That's what I like doing. But yeah, as I said, we do come back to this volume weighted ATR band pretty imminently. I think we are going to come back over the next day or so, potentially, and test this price at around 293. If we are to find support on that, the next level that we're looking for is to break this 55 moving average. And as you can see, we do find quite a bit of resistance from that indeed, right? But likewise, if we break it, we find that level of support. And that could indicate we are going to break to the upside from there. So those are things to basically consider with Monero in terms of price action, right? In terms of, that's the RSI done. Let me have a look at the MACD right now. As you can see, a pretty obvious lower low here. Pretty obvious lower low in terms of a downtrend on the MACD. We are looking like we're going to come to some sort of bullish crossover, right? The lines are getting there. They're going to cross over, right? Hopefully we can get some sort of bullish crossover, and then obviously, we do have this higher high here, right? We do have this higher high here point, so we could be looking at some sort of trend coming down from there. It could be a horizontal trend here. It could be a horizontal trend where we form that level of support, that level of resistance on the MACD here, but I don't see us breaking it, right? I don't see us breaking it, and that could basically mean that we are going to surge up. We are going to come near this volume-weighted ATR band, but we're not going to quite get any more momentum from that, and then we're going to see a bearish crossover and a switch down from there. That brings me on to the kind of downtrends right now for the MACD here. As you can see, this is the lower low that we've created. We're looking at creating potentially a lower high from there, and then a lower high from there as well, forming some sort of trend cycle like so, right? And that's basically me summed up for Monero, guys. So basically take that into account while you're trading Monero, if you are going to trade Monero. But yeah, so that's going to be the end of the stream, guys. That's going to be the end of the stream. Thank you guys for tuning in. Means a lot. Smash that like button if you enjoyed it. If you wanna see me basically stream tomorrow as well, I'll be streaming from 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning. I usually start my stream, and I do it from Monday to Friday, and I release altcoin gem videos continuously. So if you don't want to miss out on them as well, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and you're never going to miss one of my uploads, right? You're never going to miss one of my uploads. And yeah, if you've got any opinions or comments about my stream, because obviously I am trying to improve it. It's only my 6th time going. So yeah, let me know in the comments, right? Let me know in the comments, and I'll in a sense try and tailor it. What do you think of the fast talking? Is it better fast talking, or is it better with a nice smooth? Yep, Litecoin's doing this, or Bitcoin's going up. Do you prefer it quicker or slower? Let me know in the comments. But yeah, thanks again for being here, guys. This is basically me signing out. Peace out. Thanks again for watching my stream, right? Thank you, NX. Good luck with your trades today, man.